And we're back with part 2 of On the Couch with Huli with Tony Southwell. Tony, we were talking about Bob Jane before last week on your recent episode. Now we're talking about part 2 of that story with Bob Jane and the Gold Coast race.
Yeah, that Gold Coast race. It was actually the second Gold Coast race that I was a part of. So it was the third race up there. The whole weekend was there's so much went on. First of all, I was saying that this businessman who I was working for, very well respected businessman and a very well respected guy in the racing community, had offered to take my car up, and along with the car that he was the majority owner of. And when we arrived, we unloaded, and the owner or the driver and part owner of that car, his wife came and approached me with a bill for $1,400 for bringing my car to Surfers Paradise in the owner of their car's truck. But this driver was charging me. It was an invoice written out to his business. Yeah. And I just took it off his wife, and I looked at it and I said, "What's this?" She said, "Oh, that's a bill for bringing your car up." And I said, "Okay, I'll just give this to the owner of the business and ask him about it." And she just grabbed it back off me and took it and walked away. They were just trying to steal money off me. This guy and his missus just tried to steal $1,400 off me by pretending that they had a right to charge me for my car being in the same truck that was the only thing. My car was in the same truck that their truck car was in, because they didn't own the truck.
This guy was the guy you're racing against, weren't you?
He's one of the guys who raced in the... Like years later, this same guy and his wife ripped off hundreds of people in the motorsport and motor industry with a pyramid scam called a jet airline seat thing where you bought seats on the airline, and as more people bought, they pushed your seat to the front, and as you pushed someone out, you took their money, and when you get to the front, you take all the money from the people in the plane. Yeah, right. But what happened was this guy, not only was the pyramid thing a scam, he was actually had pretend people in the seats. Yep. So he would have Bill Smith in this seat and Bob whatever in that seat. Yep. So you thought there were other people who had bought in, but they weren't. They were just him. Yeah. So when that person got there, he was getting all the money. Yeah. And they bought new utes, and they got a shop for his missus, and they got a shop for him, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this is the sort of people that they were. You know, it goes on for years, like him initially trying to steal from me at that track. And then years later ripping everyone off. And there's still people out there now who were hurt badly by him with this pyramid scam, hurt really badly. Yeah. You know, people lost their businesses, lost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Do you know if he went to jail?
No. He's still out there. He's got a very, very low profile in the motorsport industry now. You don't see him at racetracks. He keeps his head down because there's people out there that still really want a piece of him. A guy in Queensland, actually, a motor dealer who had a very high reputation in Canberra, selling cars, and had a big motor new car dealership, nearly got run out of Queensland because he got sucked into it, and he was selling seats on the plane for these people. But it was a terrible thing, and lots of people were stung very badly. But it just sort of goes to the character of these people when that happened, and then you look back a few years ago when they just tried to steal money from me at the racetrack. So, you know, that's who they were, just scumbags. Yeah.
Can you tell me your relationship? You had a huge relationship and friendship with Bob Jane.
Hang on, we have to. There's more about that weekend first. Okay. We'll get that weekend right. So after that, I've picked up a really big sponsor. Yep. $10,000 for the weekend. But Gold Coast race meeting was great because you got to pick up. There was sponsorship available. It was national. It was on Channel 9. Yep. Televised. It was the commentators were Eastlake and
Darryl Eastlake was commentate. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's his name? The bike racer that died.
Wayne Gardner.
No. Oh, I'll tell you about him.
Daryl Beatty.
No, the one that died, the Pommy.
Barry Sheen.
Barry Sheen. Barry Sheen called me a cunt. On national television, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It was really funny. So yeah, I have to go to this really large automotive business to pick up my sponsorship check, I imagined. And they wanted me to drop off some T-shirts. I had T-shirts printed for the race meeting and had their name on them. So, because they were going to come to the track and all that sort of stuff. So I went there and I had a big bag of shirts. When I get there, I go in and meet some people at the front office. The owner and his wife weren't there, but I was directed into the back office. I go in the back office and there's a stunning girl there, young, 19, I think she was, and she's the daughter. She hands me an envelope with $10,000 cash in it. She said, "Dad said to give you this." I'm like, "Oh, okay, thank you." And she said, here are the shirts. She said, "Is there one to fit me?" I said, yeah, I'll grab what you need. Next minute, she pulls her top off in front of me, and she's got nothing on underneath it, and puts one of my shirts on.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? and I'll go, "Oh, okay, thank you." Yeah. And then she said, "What are you doing for the rest of the day?"
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm just going to be running around sorting out all my stuff."
Yeah.
And she said, "Can I come?" I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So I go to the racetrack, and by this time my crew had arrived, and Peter Masters and his wife were there, and Tracy sees me turn up with this girl.
Yeah.
Fuck. Because she knew what I was like, and she was filthy. Yeah. And she let it be known how filthy she was.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I make up some excuse to go back to my room, and I don't really think the sponsors $10,000. I don't think he was paying me to fuck his daughter, but that's what it appeared to be in the end.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Oh no, that's what happened.
Yeah.
So anyway, she hung out the whole weekend, and we had a great time. It was a great race meeting. There was this fucking chutch turned up there to race. Now this guy had a small racing history, racing much lighter cars in a different class altogether. I really didn't know anything about him, but he had turned up there like he had everything. The car was painted really flash, all fluoro, it looked the fucking guts, but he had no idea what he was doing. Like, driving a 3,500 pound stock car is hard.
Especially on the Gold Coast.
Yes, and it's not like anything you've ever driven before. He had everything wrong because he didn't have a road course racing package. He didn't have the right brakes or the right gearbox. He just basically had a converted Thunderdome car with nothing in it to make it work. And on the Saturday, he crashed into me and 3 or 4 other cars. And then, because he ran out of brakes after the first lap, so coming into the first chicane for the second time, he tried to stop, couldn't, crashed into all these cars. So Saturday night, the TAFE guys, when they used to come to race meetings and repair everyone's cars, they used to go to Bathurst, all the TAFE guys, and they repaired my car overnight. Then the second day on the Sunday, he fucking did it again. Crashed into everybody and took out fucking everyone's cars.
Yeah.
So we get back to the fucking pits, and I had a go at him.
Yeah.
Just fucking told him what a fucking goose he was.
Yeah.
And he took a fucking swing at me.
Yeah. Didn't you say there was 2 dickheads on my podcast?
yeah. This is one of them.
Yeah.
Took a fucking swing at me.
Okay.
And it was taken care of. The swing didn't connect. Anyway, he got called in and fined massively for his behaviour for taking a swing at me. He went and whinged to one of the other drivers about, why he was fined. Yeah. And he was basically told, you've been here 5 fucking minutes. Tony's been here since it started, been involved since it started. I didn't necessarily race until 91. You can't go, doing that. The very next race at Calder, he was practicing. He was out there going around and around and around. So I got in my car and I went out pretty much prepared just to lose my practice session completely, just to make a cunt out of myself. And I went out and I just got right on his bumper and sat on his fucking bumper for the whole practice session. When he pulled in, I realised he wasn't driving the car. He had one of the really good respected drivers sitting in the car to just feel it out for him.
Yeah, right.
So I made a whole cunt out of myself to the wrong guy. But yeah, and then I ended up spinning him out at a race at Eastern Creek.
Yeah.
To get back at him. But yeah, we had some cockheads, but that Gold Coast race, a lot went on. But I was really in a bad situation. My life was really turning to shit, and I was behaving really badly. You know, I was taking drugs, and I was chasing girls, and I was drinking and partying and carousing, and really not caring about how I behaved or who got run over with my behaviour. And people like Tracy Masters, you know, were really good to me because they would pull me into line. If I didn't have people like that in my life, you know, it would have been a lot worse. But yeah, I behaved really badly. But a lot happened at that race meeting. But Bob bailing me out of jail was a highlight.
Yeah, yeah, right. So Bob helped you in your life where you needed him the most, and he pulled you out of the ditch that you were in. And
yeah, he was just, you know, so underspoken. You know, he would tell you if you were wrong. He would tell you if you were a dickhead. But like that day when he come and got me, he didn't say anything to me. He didn't have to. I knew what he felt without him saying a word. But yeah, it was good. It was good to have a relationship with him.
And so he helped you a lot, and that's why you've loved him and praised him on the
internet. Oh yeah, I mean
day.
There were so many races that I like the first race that I couldn't do. I think it was still in the first season because I raced 3 seasons completely before I started sporadic racing, 3 complete seasons. But one race, I think it was towards the end of the first season, I just didn't have any money. And I had a commitment to Bob to pay so much money off the money I owed him for the gearbox and engine. So I went and saw his financial controller, a guy called Mark Duffy, and I went and said to Mark, I'm not racing this race meeting. It was, the April race meeting, so the last race meeting of the year. So I'm not racing this race meeting, but I'm still going to make the payment because it came out of my prize money. So I said, just because I'm not here doesn't mean you're not getting paid what I owe you. I'm just going to give you the money for that. And then next minute I get a call. No, it wasn't a call. I got a message. Someone came down and saw me in the garage area, and there was no race meeting on that weekend. I was just down at the track, and I got a message to go and see Mark. So I went and saw Mark, and Mark said to me, Bob said, get your car ready to race. And I said, I can't race the car, mate. I've got no money. He said, I'm telling you, Bob said, get the car ready to race. I said, what does that fucking mean? And he said, just get it ready to race. So then I did that, and then I went and saw Bob, and he just said the same thing. He said, get ready to race. So in the end, I raced, and Bob didn't charge me for anything. All my tyres were on the tick. All my fuel was on the tick. The entry fee was on the tick. Everything. He just gave it to me to race so I could be there. And he did that for me on more than one occasion. And I know that he gave other people tyres too, but I don't know how many people he helped to the extent that he helped me, but he helped me a lot to make sure that I made race meetings. Yeah.
What happened at the infamous Adelaide International Raceway? You said that you had a bit of a run-in with the bloke.
Our first race at Adelaide was my second race in the series. So it was round 2 of the 1991-92 NASCAR Championship. And Rodney Combs won the first race at the Thunderdome in a car owned by Denzel and Mary Mead. And we get to Adelaide, and I didn't have an Adelaide setup for my car. So I contacted a guy from Speedway who I knew through Speedway Dirt Track and asked him for some help with what I needed for Adelaide. So he told me what steering box I needed, what springs I needed, what shocks I needed, how to set the car up, what sway bar I needed, everything I needed for the car. So I had a set of shocks. I bought a set of shocks and had them dynoed. I bought a set of springs. So I only had one package for Adelaide, and that was everything I bought. This guy told me to. I bought a steering box he told me to buy, bought a sway bar he told me to buy, did everything that he told me. Get to Adelaide, everything in the car, we've set it up exactly how we've been told. The car was undrivable, absolutely undrivable, couldn't drive it. So Robin Best said to me, and this is a true champion, said to me, "What's wrong with your car?" And I said, "I don't know, I just can't drive it." And I thought I was going to go good at Adelaide because it's a short half-mile track with no banking, just a flat speedway track. And he said, "What have you got in your car?" So I gave him the sheet of paper with what I had in my car. He said, "That's never going to fucking work here. That's not going to." He said, "Who fucking told you that?" And I told him and he said, so he gave me, out of his own gear, he gave me everything I needed for my car. So I went and saw this guy and I said, and I said, "Why the fuck did you tell me all that? I spent money I don't fucking have on all this equipment on your fucking say-so. Why would you do that?" And he simply replied, "Why would I help you be quicker than me, maybe?" And I'm like, "You shouldn't have fucking helped me at all.
Yeah.
Because you cost me money I don't have."
Yeah.
So we went out in the race and kicked his ass. But my car, I got lapped again, but Rodney Combs passed me with about 30 laps to go. Everyone came in for tyres except Rodney. So he had 70 lap old tyres on his car. My car came to me with the new set of tyres on with 30 laps to go, and all of a sudden it was fucking working really well. And I found myself catching Rodney, who's the leader. I'm down a lap or maybe 2 laps, but I'm catching the leader. So when I catch Rodney, I think, how good is this? Here's the guy who was my fucking first motorsport fucking hero. When I first started going to Speedway, watching Rodney Combs and the no hanky-panky Valvoline Yankees was that was the American guy, So I sat on his ass for the last 30 fucking laps of that race and drove my ass off. There was a couple of times that I probably could have passed Rodney or tried to pass him, but I didn't want to wreck him or ruin his day when I wasn't going to win anyway because I was a lap or more down. So I just decided this is the best place to learn, sit here behind him. And then when we came around for the end of the race, I pushed him across the start-finish line for him to take the checker flag and win the race. Yeah. And it was the greatest moment in my racing career. It's take away every win I ever had and just give me that race again. It was just that good. And then after the race, there's a really great photo of me and Rodney straight after the race. And because I went running to his garage, to talk to him about it. And he was like, for the first part of that last run, I thought I was racing you for position. Yeah. He said I was racing so fucking hard because I thought you were going to pass me. He said I didn't realise, because my radios weren't working, I didn't realise until I got a message from my guys on a board that you were laps down.
Yeah, right.
So he thought he was actually racing me, but it was fantastic to race. I only ever had 3 really good races in those early Thunderdome years. One was my first race, which was a great race. Secondly was that one against Rodney, and third was in the second season when I actually passed Robin Best for a position during the race. Yeah. And he was so excited for me that I'd passed him that he had a poster of me and him on the track together in that race, a full-size poster print on a board behind his desk, and it had written underneath it, "Wild Thing under the champ." Yeah. So, yeah, that was pretty cool.
So how'd the name Wild Thing come about?
Well, we were heading to Calder Park for the second race meeting at Calder, which was must have been March maybe, March 91. And we knew that I was told, got a message from these guys who brought out a magazine called Rolling Thunder magazine, that there was a story about me in Rolling Thunder magazine. So I was pretty fucking excited that someone had, because, I didn't think anyone had noticed us at all because we were underfunded team in an older car and starting near towards the back. So I didn't think we had any impact on anything. I didn't think we were noticed. So just when someone said there was a story about me in their magazine, I was excited. So we stopped at every fucking newsagent from between Yass and Melbourne to see if it was in the news. And when we got to Holbrook, we found it. So I bought every copy they had in Holbrook, in the Holbrook News Agency. And when we opened up, there's a 2-page article, and it just says, "Wild Thing arrives." And which was so fucking funny because remember I told you in the first episode that I used to sing Wild Thing when I was a young bloke.
Yeah.
So it was really quite funny. So we get to Melbourne, walk into Rob and Best's shed, and first thing he says is, "Here's fucking Wild Thing." And because he'd seen the article as well. And it just stuck. And then when we get to the track, the program had a big 2-page spread about me as well. So when they, on the Sunday before the race, they would get a bus and they would take all the stars up into the crowd for an autograph session. They had tables set up for everyone to sit at.
Yeah.
David Maidment, who was one of the guys who worked there, he still works for Kim, I think, or works for George Elliott maybe. He came and got me and said, "We want to take you up to the crowd to sign autographs."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Me?"
Yeah.
And it was Alan Grice, Kim Jane, Barry Graham.
Yep.
All the
big
all
shots.
the big boys.
Yeah.
And me.
Yeah.
And we get up into the crowd, and I'm sitting next to Gricey, and everyone's bringing the program to me to sign because I had my pictures in the program. And Gricey passed me his pen, and he goes, "You're going to wear yours out." You know, just made a funny joke about me signing so many autographs.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. It was awesome for that to happen. So we did have an impact. And all of a sudden people were liking me. Even though I wasn't having success and wasn't running at the front and didn't have a really flash new car, people were really sort of liking the privateer battler, I suppose, and the character that I might have been, and they were digging it. And so we had lots of fans, and people were always coming for autographs and always hanging out, and it was good.
Yeah.
And when we went to the Gold Coast, right, that first Gold Coast race, a mate of mine printed 200 T-shirts and 200 caps. 200 caps are really cheap with just a number 17 on the front. They were fluor orange, and we sold out. We sold every fucking T-shirt and every cap at the Gold Coast.
Yeah, right. Did they have back then in the merchandise stands, was it just under one big truck, or did you have your own little...
We had our own setup with our cars.
Okay.
So we just had one of those gazebos you buy, and we'd just be set up with that.
Kind of like the Speedway setup in a way, was it? Yeah,
and
right.
we just have, Tracy used to sell all the stuff for us, so she'd just stand there with the table with all the merch on it, and people would just come and buy it. And we sold out with 200 T-shirts.
Yeah, and you were saying with the number 17 on the cap, how did you actually come to that number?
Well, I had no affinity to have that number. I had to choose a number, something I hadn't even thought about. So when I went down, Bob Jane gave me my NASCAR license because you had to pay Fast Track that was owned by Marshall J. Brewer at that time to get your Speedway license to drive NASCAR or Oscar. And Bob cut Marshall out of making a few bucks. He had to pay Marshall and just gave me mine. And Ted said to Steve Betts' wife, who ran the licensing, just give Tony a license. He doesn't need to do the course. And so that was really cool. So I got my license, and then they said, you have to choose a number. So I said I wanted the number 4 because I wanted the lowest number I could get. And Bradley Jones had a reserve on the 4.
Yep.
So 1 was taken by Jim Richards, 2 was Barry Graham, 3 was Alan Grice, 4 Bradley had a reserve on, 5 was Max, 6 was the Laws brothers, 7 was Barry Blake, 8 Bradley had a reserve on as well, 9 was Tony Howlett, because when Fred's series stopped racing, Tony Howlett took over the number. 10 was Nick Girdleston, 11 and 12 were both Robin Best, both those numbers. 13 was no one. 14 was available, 15 was Charlie O'Brien, 16 was Steve Harrington, and then there was 17. So it was 14 or 17 were the only 2 that were really available. And I didn't really like the look of the 14. I didn't think it looked good as a number on a car. And Darryl Waltrip at that time was racing 17, and he was sort of the guy who I was following in NASCAR in America, so I took the 17.
Yeah.
And the guys at Calder really wanted me to take the 17 because Dick Johnson had been there and raced once, and they somehow felt that giving his number away was going to upset him, but I doubt he even fucking noticed. But so they wanted me to have it, so that's how I got the 17, and it ended up being a good number for me. I really liked having it.
And back then, NASCAR was actually competing with the supercars, weren't they? Like that, because you had a lot of like talented superstar drivers, as you just mentioned, on the grid, and then they were also competing as well on the other side of around. Speedway was trying to take off NASCAR here, but it never actually technically took off like the supercars did, because back then they were kind of fighting towards the two.
That first race that I was in, that when we had 56,000 people, 13th of October 91. The competing Australian Touring Car Championship round with Brock, Johnson, Seaton, all those guys.
Yep.
They had 1,400.
Yeah.
1,400 people.
Yeah.
We had 56,000 people.
Yeah.
So at that moment in time, we really had Australian motorsport by the balls.
Yeah.
But after 95, when we lost the NASCAR sanctioning, someone dropped the ball, and it was. I think we all have some blame. I don't think you can blame Calder Park Promotions or Calder Park Motorsport for entirely or anything that Bob did. I think that a lot of us had there was too many old cars. There was too many drivers, myself included, that weren't putting on a good show. We needed those young guys, If we had Gary Brazier and Brooke Tacknell and some of those guys, and also sedan drivers from Speedway, all come in with all new cars and all new equipment, we would have. We had Dean Wanless and Todd Wanless for a while. So we just needed more of those guys with new equipment to come in and really take it to the next level, because once it started to drop off, a lot of the guys just started dropping out because they weren't investing in new cars. Guys like Ian Thomas were great because he brought new cars in every year and brought American drivers over to drive them, and then his cars would flow on to more people in the series. Like my last car that I raced at the end, that I had the success in, it was one of Tomo's cars.
Yeah, right.
He brought it out, and Brabham drove it.
Yep.
And then pulled Brabham out and put Max in it, because Brabham wasn't allowed to be in it, so he only raced one lap, and then Max jumped in, and Max still won the race, I think.
Yeah. Did the Aussie guys get it? Because you were talking about them importing cars to Australia and whatnot. And remember NASCAR, they did a special Japanese race. Did many of you guys get invited to that race as well to add to the field?
Yeah. The first Japanese race, Kim, Terry Wahoon, Neville Lance, Jim Richards.
Yeah.
And someone else, I think. I think it was 5 or 6 went. And the second race, only Jim Richards went.
Yeah, and I think he was winning too.
He was going really well. The trouble with him, his deal was that it was a Dick Mitchell car, a Winston West car, and Jim just didn't have the horsepower that the Cup guys had. So he ended up coming 7th or 8th, I think, in that race. Like he really held his own, but he just didn't have enough mumbo in that car to compete with the Cup guys.
Yeah, Jim Richards is one of those guys that could essentially drive anything.
His old crew chief said to me, he said, when I was looking after Jim's cars, I could send him out in 3 wheels and he'd drive it. He said he would just drive whatever you gave him.
Yeah.
But me and Robin Best got him to come and help us before the first or second IndyCar race. I can't remember. The one race sort of blends into the next, but I'd never turned right and I'd never changed gears, and neither had Robin.
Yeah.
So we asked Jim, would he help us? And he gave up his time and came to the track and taught me and Robin how to road race.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure he gave us a full day or 2 full days on this national circuit. And it was wonderful. Like, I still remember the lessons that he gave us. He was, some of the stuff he taught us. I think the biggest thing that he taught me was about turning in.
Yeah.
And braking and turning in. They were the 2 things that I took away from it more than anything else. we were sitting in the car and he was just going through using your pedals. Because Speedway drivers, we're left foot brakers.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he was sort of teaching us how to right foot brake and how to use your pedals, how to change gears, and just sitting in the car. And Robin Best, because he was so dry, Robin Best, he just looked at Jim and he goes, I don't understand, Jim. And Jim goes, what don't you understand? He goes, 3 pedals, 2 feet. and Jim just said, fucking Speedway drivers. But so that's Jim's background too. He started dirt track in New Zealand, yeah. But he was fantastic. He and I'm forever grateful to the help that he gave us, because later on, when the Power Tour started and I started racing really well, it was all due to Jim, what he taught me all those years earlier. That and the thing that I really dislike, and I think I'm being punished for something, is that I had success circuit racing, where I didn't want success circuit racing. I wanted success on the oval track. Yeah, and. But the reason I had success was because of Jim.
And you, John Trimble just passed away. We were talking about this off air and a while ago. You actually had something to do with John, didn't you?
Yeah. It's funny too. A guy who was he was involved with Andrew Harris. Andrew set up a race team at Calder in one of the Calder buildings. He set up a race team. I think it was called NAS. I can't remember.
NASCAR.
No, NASCAR was George's. It was called, what was it called? I can't remember what it was called anyway. Anyway, he, as a part of that deal, he started a ride of a lifetime.
John Trimble did, yeah.
Well, I think John owned the car and Andrew ran it, or they owned it together.
Yep.
And they got a car, one of the ride of a lifetime cars was a Falcon car, had a Falcon body, NASCAR with a Falcon body on it, that a guy called not Trevor. His name was Oliver. Mike Oliver drove in the early days of NASCAR, and he actually broke a record with it at the Yang testing ground, the Ford testing ground.
Yeah, yep.
He did a 200-mile-an-hour run in this Falcon.
Yeah, right.
Falcon NASCAR.
Yep.
Anyway, so Andrew and John ended up with the car, and I ended up with a job as a driver for the ride of a lifetime. I don't know how it happened. Myself and another friend driver ended up doing it. And one day we were out there and the gearbox shit itself so we had to change the gearbox. So as a thank you for us doing all this mechanical work that we weren't actually employed to do, we all got, the whole crew and the drivers all got a night at the Daily Planet.
Yeah. And that place I think that place may have changed names now, but John's huge, and Michael Trimble, his son, actually raced too as a gun Formula Ford racer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's awesome about John. He was an infamous character in motorsport in a way, with his Daily Planet car. And I didn't remember his paint scheme. And
I didn't really know John. I knew Andrew. But so we all went to the Daily Planet for a free ride.
For a free so you were telling me, a while ago, that John Sidney was a big part of your career. He was one of the guys that believed in you.
He did. When the start of the second season, Dave Handley, who built my engine, great guy, great engine builder, told me my engine, because I ran the same engine for the full season. He told me that it needed to be freshened up, and I said, I'll do this first race and then we'll do it after that, because I'll pick up the prize money for the first race meet and we'll use that to freshen the engine up. And I blew the engine up. Blew it to pieces.
Yeah.
So Barry Graham then leased me an engine. So I used that Barry Graham engine for a couple of race meetings. And then John approached me and told me that he's watched me race, and he really thinks that he loved the way I went in turn one. And he said, I think if you were in one of my cars, you would win. And he offered to give me an engine deal. Now, he was charging $5,000 a race meeting for people to rent an engine. He gave me an engine for $1,000 a meeting. And it just stayed in my car.
Yeah.
And the only time it came out was when he freshened it up.
Yeah.
So he gave me carby, he gave me everything I needed to race, and just supported me so much. When we went to Adelaide, Barry Graham couldn't come to the Adelaide race meeting, and John had both his Valvoline cars there, and John tried to put a deal together for me to drive that second Valvoline car.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
He said you got to go and get your hair cut first. I had long hair. He said go and get your hair cut. He said I can't have you driving one of my cars with hair, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But it was just nice that it was spoke of. So yeah, John was very good to me and looked after me immensely. We had an incident. We went to race at Eastern Creek the first time the NASCAR cars went to Eastern Creek, and they did an inspection on my car, and they found that my seatbelts, my harness was out of date. And it was out of date maybe a week. And the guys said you need to get, the inspectors decided to get, use their massive fucking power trip they're on.
Yeah, yeah.
You need to get seatbelts. I couldn't get fucking seatbelts. I couldn't get a new set. So they said you can't race unless you get a new set of seatbelts. So we're running around everywhere trying to get them. So in the end, I did the wrong thing, but I had no choice. I went to Bob.
Yeah.
So I went over their heads, which is the wrong thing to do because they're given a job to do. But I've also got a big investment in having my car and all my guys there to do race, and I'm not going to not race because I don't have a fucking set of seatbelts. So I went to Bob and I told Bob what was going on, and he goes, just run over the cunts. They try and stop you, just fucking run over them. And I said, well, I don't think I can do that. He said, look, this is my fucking show. Line up and race your fucking car. So the guys come and did another inspection, and they told me I couldn't use the carby on my car, which John Sidney owned, and he also owned the engine.
Yeah.
Now, this was bullshit. As far as it was a really tricked up carby, but it was bullshit as far as I was concerned. It was they were just trying everything on. So race time on the first race Saturday goes to start. I go barreling down. I haven't got a sticker on my. They didn't put a sticker on my windscreen and say that I passed scrutineering. I go down thing and they've got a fucking stop flag up.
Yeah.
I just fucking drive around him and go out on the racetrack. come down the first warm up lap.
Yep.
And they're black flagging me at the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Come around for the second lap and the black flag's gone. Bob's obviously pulled his fucking power and put a stop to it. So we race. I spin out that fucking idiot from the Gold Coast race.
Yep.
I'm going into the hairpin. I just get. You don't think about cameras, television when you're in a car. You only think about what you're doing. And I just thought, this is fucking gold. This cunt's in front of me. I'm going to give. So I just turned him around. Yeah. And off I went. End of the race, I came in and my guys are all clapping me. I'm like, what are you clapping me for? And it's been replayed on the TV.
On the big screen.
Yeah. So anyway, what happened was we come in, and I get on the radio and I say to the guys, a big no-no in NASCAR in America and in Australia is you can't close the garage doors. The garage doors have to be open all the time for access for your fans, for your inspectors, for anyone. It's open house. So I said, when I pull in, pull the fucking roller door down and lock the back door and up the bonnet, pull the carby off as fast as you fucking can. Pull in, up bonnet, I'm out the fucking door as quick as I can. Fucking inspectors are bang, 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 bang on the fucking roller door. Pull the carby off. I go out the back door with the carby and I go running down to the other end of the pits where John Sidney's and where Max and Barry's cars are and give John the carby, go running back down. When I get back down, they're pulling the door up and the inspectors are coming in and the inspectors are going, where's the carburetor? I'm going, fuck if I know. What? I don't know. It was there.
Yeah.
It's just, so they really get a bee in their bonnet.
Yeah.
The guy, John, who was the boss of the inspectors, I still think he's got a bee in his bonnet because I put a comment the other day on a post on one of the Auscar NASCAR groups that he'd put up.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this little thing to him, and he didn't reply. So I think he's still cranky about it. He pointed at me and he said, because there's a big kerfuffle, and he said, "You'll never fucking race NASCAR again in this country," right? Big fucking statement, right?
Yeah.
So they Calder Park Promotions hold my points and prize money, Barry Graham's points and prize money, and Max Stumsley's points and prize money because John owns the Carby.
Yeah, right.
So they call an urgent meeting in Calder and we all have to attend. Max and Barry didn't, but John had to. And I was really upset because I thought John's going to be so pissed off with me because something they got to shoot to me, it's affecting him. So they send the Carby away to someone else for analysis. Carby comes back and Bob's got the Carby. We go to this meeting and this John guy who's the inspector, another inspector's there, Barry Graham's there, Bob Jane's there, and myself. And Al Basnight is there. And Bob has got the Carby with a report and he hands it to John, the inspector, and the report says the Carby's legal.
Yeah.
And Bob just says, "End of meeting."
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we got our points of prize money and it was all over and done with. But yeah, they had the shits with me big time over it. So yeah, there was lots of that sort of. But see, they were so. I'll give you an instance. We went to might have been the third race at Indy. My car got knocked back for being an eighth of an inch too low in the roof height. Right?
Jesus,
an eighth of an inch too low.
Yeah.
Brad Jones is in front of me with his car. His front wheels are fucking 2 inches out the top of the guards, each fucking side, and with the camber that's on them, obviously the bottoms. His track was 4 inches fucking wider at the front than legal. Bradley goes through with that on his front end. I get pinged for my fucking car being an eighth of an inch low.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of the bullshit that went on. You know, if you were one of the boys that the inspectors liked well, you know, nothing against Bradley. I mean, Bradley was a great. You know, Bradley was hard to get to know, and I really didn't have a relationship with him. But fucking cunt could drive. You know, he's. I hate the term underrated because it just says I don't like the connotations, but I don't think Australia motorsport realised just how fucking good he was. You know that race that him and Craig Lowndes when they came second at Bathurst. Fuck me dead. What a drive from Bradley.
Yeah.
You know, and he was pretty much unbeatable in the Oz cars. You know, that guy had, you know, that partnership him and his brother had was gold. You know, Kim just understood the rules, understood his way around the rules, could make a car work, and Bradley could just drive the fucking wheels off anything. You know, incredible combination, him and his brother.
And they've got now a trick set up into the supercar world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you said, they're closed off. They've always stayed, they're very loyal. They stay in the Albury community and do their own thing and just turn up to the racetrack and race, really. Yeah.
Well, that's what they always did at Calder too. You know, he was, they really had a good thing going. But that's the sort of thing that did happen down there, you know, with that, because someone like Bradley was a bit untouchable. You know, they had the money, they had the package, and they had a great relationship with Calder Park. So you know, they were, I think that the hierarchy of the guys who were checking the cars would let things through because they just didn't want to deal with the drama. But someone like me comes through who's there by the skin of his fucking teeth. You know, your car's a bit low, go and fix your, you know. And if you wind your car up, you're changing everything. And Rodney Combs taught me a valuable lesson because they did it to him once at Calder, going through inspection before qualifying, that his car was too low, so he got a hammer and hit the roof up.
Yeah, right.
So I did the same thing. Rather than change the car, he just fucking smashed the fucking roof up.
Yeah, you got to tell me about your Barbagallo trip in WA.
Oh, Barbagallo, Barry Blake put a race on over at Barbagallo and he promoted it. So he was really the only other guy who ever promoted a race for those cars outside of Bob.
Yeah.
He was put under a lot of pressure from Bob. He made Barry pay the prize money into a trust account up front to make sure we all got paid. Mm-hmm. We all got paid a flat fee. I think we all got $5,000 to go over there.
Yeah.
So there was no prize money, like ladder of prize money. I think we all got the same money.
Yeah.
And Barry did a great job as a promoter for someone who's not a promoter. You know, he had radio and television. He spent a lot of money, and it cost him a lot of money. You know, it took him years to pay it off, and he ended up in court with NASCAR.
Jesus.
Yeah.
In NASCAR Australia or
NASCAR America.
Wow.
Yeah. All over the use of the name.
Yep.
See, we lost NASCAR in 95, but continued to illegally use the name right through pretty much to the end. Even though it became the Australian Stock Car Championship, on the program it still said the word NASCAR and all that sort of stuff. And people, the promotion arm of Calder would still slip the word in, so everyone thought we were still NASCAR. But Barry Graham is the last official Australian NASCAR champion. So there's only Robin Best twice, two times, George Elliott, Max Dumsey, and Barry Graham.
Yeah.
They're the only real Australian NASCAR champions. You know, Kim won 4 or 5 on himself. So I don't take anything away from Kim. It's still the same place, same cars, same rules. It just wasn't, we didn't have sanctioning anymore.
Yeah.
And that's when things sort of started to drop off. But Barbagallo was fun. I spent more time in the fucking sand than on the racetrack. Still ran well, and someone shared an article recently from back then that I'd forgotten about, and it's got a photo of my car, and I think it was the second race in my new car. And so someone shared an article, and it's a write-up is very favourable about how I went at that race meeting. We blew an engine up. I had to buy an engine off, what's his name? Melbourne's cheapest cars?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Eddie Albanica.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had to buy an engine off him at the racetrack. So I bought an engine off him to race because we broke one. Someone sabotaged my car.
Yeah, right. Wow.
During the night, yeah.
Holy smokes.
We got to the racetrack on either Friday or Saturday, and someone had been into my shed and wound all my weight jacks and changed all the setup on my car overnight.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
This is in Barbagallo, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, that was a bit bizarre.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had because I had some support categories, local support categories, and one of them was like an old series of sports sedans or something, and there was a Mini Cooper S, and when you go over the back chute, you can't go over a big hill at Barbagallo.
Yeah.
And I'm full noise in this fucking 3,500 pound fucking stock car doing, I don't know, 150 or 60 miles an hour, and there's a fucking Mini Cooper S right in front of me on the same track doing 70 miles an hour. And then he ran over the fucking thing because they had open practice and all the cars were on there together.
Yeah, right.
But every time I'd go down that fucking big straight down towards the sand trap, I ended up in it.
You got to tell me the time that you had a bit of a run-in with Russell Ingall at the Thunderdome or something.
Oh, it wasn't a run-in. It was really fun. He was driving my car, the car that I ended up buying. Scott Williams owned the car at the time.
Yeah.
And
you and Scott are quite close, aren't you?
Yeah, we're good mates. He sign wrote my car from the second meeting.
Scott Williams did?
Yeah.
Yep.
And sign wrote it for every single meeting from then on until right through the Power Tour.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, he was a kid when the Thunderdome when he first started working on for Ian Thomas as a crew member, and he came down and sign wrote all the cars, and then he got him to do mine. Anyway, so he bought that car off Ian Thomas.
Yep.
Ian Thomas is someone who deserves a fucking lot of credit. I never realised it when we were racing at the time how important he was, you know. But now, all these years later, and looking back, he was really important to our series. And if we had 3 or 4 more like him, we'd probably still be going.
Yeah.
You know, he was very important. Anyway, so Scott had that, and he had Russell driving the car. And Russell didn't know me from fucking Adam. I was sponsoring the car, so it was the Fireworks King on the car. And I saw him standing next to a transporter, and he was talking to Michelle. And so this is 99 or maybe 1999 it must have been. Oh, no, it might be earlier than that. Yeah, it must be 99 because me and Michelle were together. And I thought, oh, here's a fucking golden opportunity.
Yeah.
So me and Russell had met, but he didn't know me.
Yeah, yeah.
And Michelle's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
And bikini model and all that comes with that. You know, she's really beautiful. So I walk over really sternly to Russell and Michelle, and I look at Russell and I walk right to his face and go, what the fuck's going on here? And I just bunged the jealous boyfriend on, and he fucking shit his pants. Yeah. Like, he might not admit it now, but he fucking shit his pants. He's like, no, nothing, we're just talking. And then I just grabbed him on the shoulder and said, oh, mate, I'm just fucking pulling your chain, you know. But I got another good story about Russell is we went to Bathurst and we raced Bathurst prior to that and won with the car at Bathurst, beating Kim, and he did 3:19 down Conrod, which is the fastest ever sedan.
Yep.
With had the John Sidney engine, and that same year, Glenn Seaton did 3:04 in the supercar, which was still a John Sidney engine, so the fastest supercar.
How many times did the NASCARs race at Bathurst? Twice. Okay.
Larry Perkins put a bigger time up than Seaton's, but he was tricking the computer. In the computer, he said he had a different diff ratio in than he actually had. Yeah, so he tricked it to say he went to, I think, 309 or something, but he didn't do that. Yeah. Seaton's 304 was real. Yeah. So we did the Bathurst thing, which was really great, and that was. Then after Bathurst, after that race at Calder where I had a go at him, we won. I bought the car off Scott. Yep. And took it back to Canberra. We resprayed it. Scott come up to Canberra and all sign read it in a totally Fireworks King now with a 1-800 I'm King down the sides and the whole box and dice. And we go to test at Calder for the first time, and this is the first time I'm going to drive this car at Calder. And our engineer, who's no longer with us, really good bloke, funny as fuck. If you remember that fucking Charlie Sheen show,
Two and a Half Men.
Two and a Half Men with the clothes. Well, this is this guy. Yeah, right. Really good looking. Wears those the shorts and fucking women all over him, you know. Yeah. So we go there to practice, and I'm fast in the car, really fast. And we come in, and we're just sort of debriefing on how I'm going in the car. There's a bit of water running down the track from some rain that's coming out of the ground above, and every time I went through the water, the car would slip on the water, and I just didn't worry about it. I'm just into it flat out. And he says to me, I just had a good conversation with Rusty and talking about Russell Ingall, and I said, oh, yeah, what? He said, he rang to see how you were going. And I said, oh, yeah. I said, what did you say? He said, I said to him, well, he's fucking quicker than you were. And I thought that was really good because, I mean, Russell never really was that great on the Thunderdome. You know, he did good. He was, obviously up there, but he didn't. That sort of racing isn't what he does. He's obviously really good at the circuit racing. Yeah, he proved that at Bathurst in the
Bathurst 1000.
Yeah, well, he proved that in our car too, by winning that race so convincingly from Kim. Yeah, I mean, Kim put it to him. It's a shame that our car didn't have Kim's engine because Russell's entry speed onto the Conrod was 4 or 5 kilometres an hour faster than Kim's entry speed because of Russell's driving, how he got onto that. But Kim would catch Russell almost in top speed by the time we got to the bottom. So if Russell had that engine with the entry speed and the extra acceleration, he probably would have topped, 325 or something like that. So it would have been a big difference.
Yeah. So you were talking about before about the power tour. Can you explain more about that?
Well, Power Tour came about. We had an emergency meeting at Calder Park for the future of NASCAR.
Yep.
And Bob Jane, he had that thing where garage cock pullers, for guys who own racing cars, and it's just to fucking pull their cocks over and say I'm a fucking racing car driver. Yep. And there's fucking lots of them. And so he said, all right, I want to see where your money is.
Yep.
I'll put on another race and another series if all you guys put $5,000 each in to guarantee you're going to fucking be here.
Yep.
And I said, all right. So I got a call from one driver who asked me would I put his money in, and from another guy asking if I would put his money in. So I put in money for 2 cars for me and 2 other drivers. And all these other drivers said they were going to do it. In the end, I think there was only, out of the 26 or 27 guys who said yes, they wanted to do it, I think there was only a total of 13 or 14 lots of 5,000, and 4 of them came from me.
Yeah.
So all these guys were just full of fucking shit.
Yeah.
They all said they wanted to do it, but none of them were going to put the fucking money. And I can fucking name the cunts who didn't put the money up. I'm not going to, but they know who they are. They were full of fucking shit. They all said they wanted to be. They all put the pressure on Bob to put the event on. He said, okay, I'll do it, but you guys have got to put $5,000 up. We're going to lose the money. We're going to get it back. Yeah. But you got to put $5,000 up as an assurity that you're going to fucking race.
Yeah, yeah. Didn't you actually help a rookie as well get into the sport and you never saw your money as well? There was a story about that.
No. What happened was a guy bought a really good car for the last. Well, we didn't know it was going to be the last race at the Thunderdome. A guy bought a friend of mine. He's not a friend anymore. His views don't align with mine. He needed some money after he bought this car to make the meeting. I don't know whether he needed the money to pay for the rest of the car or needed the money to run the meeting, but anyway, needed some money. So I gave him the money and to race the race meeting, and then never saw it. And he justified not giving it back to me somehow.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And I couldn't be bothered fucking arguing. I just said, yeah, right, or whatever. But it's just disappointing, that people do that. He needed my help. And this is someone who'd helped me in the past. So, I really appreciated the help I got from him in the past.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a two-way street, I helped him when he needed it because he'd helped me in the past, but then he didn't fucking give the money back, which fucking pissed me off. But the Power Tour came about because of the failure of that meeting with Bob. So this really good guy called Nick Ebick and his friend who worked with him called Paul French. Sorry, Paul French.
Yeah.
They got together and they started this thing called the Power Tour, which was the trucks, the NASCAR cars, and another.
Was it Formula Fords or something like that, or?
No, there was another tin top series. I'm not sure what they were.
Yeah.
And there might have been Formula Fords as well. Not sure. Anyway, there was a few different things.
Yeah. Entertaining classes, really.
Yeah, there was. It was good. And they got book tracks. They got a television deal with Speed Channel.
Yeah,
not Speed Channel.
Oh,
what's it called? That
it was Speed Channel, which they had their own. Yeah, that Speed was the whole motorsport channel.
Yeah, but there was a motorsport show.
Oh, RPM?
No,
I
can't remember. Anyway, through that. So that we had production and we had all that stuff. So it was really well put together. We raced for 2.5 seasons, I think.
Yep. Oh, Speed Week. Was it on
Speed Week,
Speed Week?
yeah, it was
There
on
we go.
Speed Week, yeah. So, yeah, they put it together, and it was really run well. The first meeting we had was at Malala in Adelaide,
Yep.
and myself and Andrew Miedecke and George Elliott were the fastest. I think George won that meeting, and Andrew came second. I came third. Dick Howe was someone else who no one really gave enough credit to as what a really good fucking driver. He's an old Speedway guy. But fuck, the guy can drive. I think he's still driving. I think he's driving Porsches or something now.
Yeah, right.
He was a really good driver. We had some fucking gumpies in that series too. You know, we had a guy called Nigel Benson from who raced Oscar for a while. Mate, that guy just spent all his time mowing the lawns around the racetracks, and Bob Middleton was there with his cars. Bob, nice guy. That's what I'll say about Bob, and good cars. And so he had Andrew Miedecke driving one, and he drove sometimes. Then he had another guy, young guy called Chris Templeton, who was an up and comer who thought he was going to be the next big thing, international Australian driver. So we went to that first one, and the first one was a bit set up. We staged a lot of the race, passing and letting other people pass us and stuff to make it look good for television. We really, staged it up, that first one. But that was the only one that was staged. From then on, we raced. Yeah. And I drove really well. We'd spent a lot of money on my car in developing my car. We had really good brakes. We had a recirculating brake system, which is illegal, but I think a few of the teams had it who understood how to make it work. Yeah. It just meant you always had a full pedal. Yeah. So every time you put your foot on the brake and took it off, the brakes, the whole system recirculated. So it didn't matter, as your pads wore down, you didn't lose pedal. Yeah. So you got no knock off. Yeah. So every time you pumped the brake, you had a full pedal for the whole race. So we had really good brakes. So that we raced. One of the highlight meetings was at Oran Park. Andrew was obviously so fast. He's such a great driver and such a great bloke. I went out the first race of the day. My car was just unbeatable, and I was a half a lap ahead of Andrew and George fighting for second. And everyone else behind. And one lap from the finish line, my engine blew, and I just pulled into the garages, and Andrew won the race. So we changed engines through between races. When the next race started, I had to start last because I finished last in the one where the engine blew up, and I passed the whole field pretty much before turn one. And then coming through turn two, my steering wheel came off. I didn't put my steering wheel on properly when we started the race.
This is at Oran Park.
Oran Park, yeah. Yeah. So I had to stop the car completely, put my steering wheel back on, and by this time the whole field had passed me again, and off I went again, and I managed to pass everyone on the field except for Andrew, and came second. Now, if my steering wheel hadn't come off, I reckon I would have got Andrew that day. Might not have, but I think I would have. So I came second, and sort of really let Andrew know that there was someone there that could race him. Yeah. And then we went to Queensland Raceway, and I qualified on pole, and Andrew went out for one last bash to see if he could knock me off pole. Put a new set of tyres on, and there was about 5 minutes left on the clock. Peter, my crew chief, and Dale, who was my engineer at this stage, Dale Williams, which is Scott's brother, he told me to go out with Andrew to put him off, to follow him, because it's an open qualifying session. And I said, no, I'm just going to sit here and let him try and beat my time. And if he does it fair and square, then I'll go out and try and beat his. And he didn't get it. So I got it. And Andrew came over to me after, and he said to me, I left nothing out there. He said, you got that time. He said, that's everything I had was in that car, and there's no excuses. The car was perfect. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. So then we went out to the race, and it was a reverse grid. So I had to start last, and I passed the whole field within a couple of laps. And then we raced. Then basically Andrew was catching me. He was past the whole field as well. And it was just me and Andrew. And then coming down the front straight at Queensland Raceway, I know Andrew's a better driver than I am. I'm under no illusion. He's got so much more experience. So I needed to think of how I'm going to beat him. And the only way I could think of how to beat him was to rely on my brakes. So coming to the end of that straightaway at Queensland Raceway, all I did was look in the mirror. And when I saw Andrew's nose go, then I did.
Yeah.
Because then I knew that I was braking after him.
Yeah.
So I was threshold braking. I was just right on, as soon as I saw him, I would brake. And then coming around to second last turn back onto the straight, if I drove like a racing car driver and went out wide and turned in like you're meant to do, Andrew would get under me. He's got more experience than me. He would get under me. So I thought, I'm going to block his entrance into that turn and drive how you're not meant to drive. So I just came in close to the corner, braked, and then drove around real sharp around the corner, and then just out-accelerated him down the straight. And it's really funny because the guy's doing the commentary, which is not Warren Luff, his dad.
Oh, Ian Luff.
Ian Luffy.
Yeah.
Luffy's like having a go at my racing, saying, it's Tony's inexperience. He doesn't know how to turn in properly. He hasn't done any road racing before, doesn't know what he's doing. But it wasn't my inexperience. It was the fact that I know Andrew's better than me. And I wasn't going to give him that opening by me, taking a proper racing line. And it bode well for me in the end because I won the race. And then Andrew again after the race came over and told me that I beat him, which was really good to hear. And he said to me, you're the best out there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Didn't Rusty French and you team up as well?
Yeah, Rusty come and drove my second car for a while.
Yeah.
Which was he's such a great guy to be. Him and his wife would come to every race meeting, and she would make all the food and these wonderful sandwich platters, the flashiest sandwiches you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
And Rusty would, come and he paid me every race meeting for the car, and we actually had a 1-2 finish at Winton where Rusty won and I came second. We had some great duels, me and Rusty together, and he was really good to have in the. We also had a Formula One test driver release my car for a couple of race meetings.
Yeah, right. Do you remember his name or not?
Duncan Bain.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Pommy guy or a French guy.
Yeah.
Duncan Bain. Yeah, he raced. I think he won a race in one of my cars.
Yeah. Okay.
George Elliott's son Graham rented the car for a couple of race meetings. And then the very last race for NASCAR stock cars in Australia was at Calder Park on the national circuit, and I had Rodney Crick, great driver, race driver.
Yeah, Rodney Crick, yeah. His son Cameron's in Supercars now.
Right.
Yeah.
Can't say enough about that weekend. Rodney was a great guy, and he drove my second car. So we had 2 fireworks king cars. He also had some Shell sponsorship. So we drove those 2 cars, and I just said to him before the race, mate, I know this is my car, but if you're on my road, I'm going to run you over.
Yeah. Because
I'm going to win this race. This is the last race in Australia for these cars, and I'm going to win it.
Yeah.
And it was a great race. We had a great field of cars, some really good cars and some really good drivers. And a young guy from down in Melbourne who has an exhaust business, I think. He, Neville Healy, maybe. He put on a really good show. He would come from nowhere. He rented an ex-Alan Grice car and drove it.
Yep.
And he was hard. He was hard to beat. He was one of the guys on that day that really fucking put it to everybody. So we won that, and Rodney came second, and then we had a huge fucking celebration after that.
Yeah. What was it like with the last race finishing up? Like, what was the celebration like, and where'd you party? Was it in?
Well, we partied at the track.
Yep.
There's a picture of me actually doing a donut on my Harley outside the race garages at Calder, at 2 o'clock in the morning. We just partied there and big time all night. Me and Rodney did dueling donuts at the start-finish line when we came around after we come first and second. Bob Jane was there, and he was actually talking to Alan Rourke. Alan Rourke raced with us for a while too. He raced an old NASCAR car with us for a few races. He was commentating, and he said he was sitting with Bob when I won, and he said that Bob was a bit melancholy, saying that he wished he'd never given the cars up. He really regretted that we weren't still doing it. Yeah. It was good that Bob was there, but for that race, because Bob had nothing to do with the race; it was just at his track. Yeah. So that was quite a day. It was a pretty big day for us. Yeah. Big party.
You were mentioning in your book about like at the study, you got your family. How'd you meet Michelle?
Quite funny actually. I was living the Playboy life. Yep. I was going out with a girl who was managing a club in Canberra, and I'll tell you about that first. This is a story about Brad Jones. Yep. And Brad doesn't know this, so I hope he hears it. I was at this girl's club, this girl I was going with. I was at her club one day, and I was watching the news, and there was a story about Brad and Kim. It was a little documentary on one of the race shows about Brad and Kim and their success and what they were doing and all about them. And I said, cunt's been kissed on the dick by a pixie. Yeah. And she just laughed. She said, "What did you say?" Yeah. And I said he's been kissed on the fucking dick by a pixie. And she said, "What does that mean?" And I said, "Well, it just means he's lucky." I said, "He's not actually lucky. He's works hard, Yeah. And she's righto. Anyway, so I was renting a room off a mate who was living with his girlfriend in this house in Canberra in Woden. And I'm laying there one night, and all of a sudden, there's someone in my bed. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I look, and here's my girlfriend, who's driven all the way from fucking her place in Queensland. And she's got, like, wings on, and she's all dressed up in this fucking pixie outfit, right? And I'm like, I'm looking at her, and I had no idea what the fuck was going on. Yeah. Anyway, so she's fucking come to give me a polish in the middle of the fucking night. Yeah. And when it's all over, I'm like, what the fuck are you meant to be? Yeah. What are you doing? Yeah. She said, I'm a pixie. I'm like, what? Anyway, so that's what it came from, Brad Jones. The Brad Jones. So I owe Brad Jones a big thank you for getting a kiss on the dick by a fucking pixie. Yeah. So anyway, Michelle. So what happened was, me and my partner in the fireworks business. Yeah. We started a business called Big Boys Toys. There's another one now that isn't ours, that wasn't like someone had bought it. It was just another one that started. So same name, Big Boys Toys, and it was going to be everything to do with anything fast. So we had a ride car, NASCAR ride car, and all that sort of stuff. And we had a display at the Summernats event in Canberra. Summernats event, it's the biggest...
Yeah, it's the biggest, crazy event for
conglomeration of fucking bogans all in one place at the one time. If you ever wanted to kill every bogan in Australia, that's where they are on that fucking day,
Yeah, they rip and burnouts all day. And,
yeah.
Drinking piss.
So we had a display there, and so we wanted to get two models, like presenters sort of things, girls to be there.
Yeah, I've seen the ads.
And my mate Ray employed 2 professional models, which I was totally against, because I thought we can get 2 pretty girls locally and half the fucking price or quarter the price and probably fucking have some fun with them while we're at it, Yeah. But he employed 2 professional models, and one of them being Michelle. Yeah. So he asked me to come around to his house, and I was really pissed off because it cost us a lot of money because we brought them down from Queensland, had to pay for motels, pay to get them down here, $2,000 each for the day or something fucking stupid, you know. So he asked me to go around to his house to meet these girls. Unbeknownst to me, Michelle was actually one of his best mate's daughters, and this is how it all came about.
Yeah.
I go around there, and his wife had said to Michelle, when Tony gets here, I want you to play up to him and then fucking crush him because he thinks he's, you know, a bit of a ladies' man.
Yeah.
And because Michelle's 14 years younger than me. She only just turned 21 then. And because she turned 21 in November, and this was like New Year's. So, you know, a month later, 2 months later. Anyway, Jean had said this to Michelle. And when I get there, I see these girls and like I'm blown away by Michelle. She's so fucking beautiful. And I have to take them to the Summonat. So I just we just bought Ray a brand new Jaguar. So I take the girls to the Summonats in the Jaguar, drop them off at the stall. They'll have to go and do some other stuff. And I hang out with them for a while, and I'm really connect with these girls. Like, we really just got on really, really well. But I wasn't spending the weekend at Summonats because I was actually had a bunch of family down from Melbourne. I was taking our ski boat to the river and we're going skiing. So I just said, spend a bit of time with them, and we swapped phone numbers or whatever. And for the next 18 months, me and Michelle just got to know each other. Like it was like old time courting, I suppose. Like I'd go to Queensland, we'd catch up, we'd go for dinner, or we'd even go to the movies sometimes. Nothing ever happened between us. Nothing ever close. We even went away. We went to New Zealand together because we sold fireworks over there in November for Guy Fawkes. Yeah. So we even went to New Zealand together, and nothing happened between us. We just spent a lot of time together and really got to know each other. She'd been with her high school sweethearts from when she was like 15. Yeah. Okay. So and then they broke up. They actually broke up when we were in New Zealand. And then that was in November. And then the following August, so 18 months after I'd met her and her dad came down to pick up a load of fireworks. And when they were leaving, she kissed me goodbye. And it was like, it was different. What the fuck? No. And so I rang her and said, what the fuck's going on? And she said, I don't know. And I said, I'm coming up. So me and a mate of mine, Marty, jumped in my car and we drove up there a few days later. And sort of just started slow, just spending some time together and seeing each other, and then ended up being together. Married.
And you've got, is it 5 kids together?
We've got 6 kids altogether, and me and Michelle have 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah. But the other kids, basically, except for Natalie was older. She's my eldest. But the other 3, James, Craig, and Kate, were all brought up by me and Michelle.
Okay. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So and then me and Michelle had 2 after that.
And we were going to talk ages ago about Junior Johnson and his impact on your career, and you're a bit of back to America for a bit.
Yeah, well, Junior was I'd met through Robin Best because Robin bought all his cars off Junior Johnson, and he's he's someone who never ran for a NASCAR championship. He won a lot of races, but he never ran a full season. So if he had of, he'd probably be considered one of the greatest ever. You only got to look at his stats of how many races he raced and how many he won to realise that he was a real force. Yeah, he brought a lot into it. He really brought a lot of the big sponsors in. He was the guy who put Earnhardt with Childers. Yeah, he did a lot of in NASCAR, and he was such a normal person. He's like Elvis in America. Like people in Australia who think Elvis Presley is famous. In America, Junior Johnson is just as famous as Elvis Presley. Like there's a movie made about him called The Last American Hero.
Yeah, right.
Jeff Bridges plays Junior Johnson.
Junior Johnson. Yeah, okay.
So the timeline is wrong in the movie, of when he raced and stuff, but the story's pretty accurate, and it's a pretty good movie. You should check it out.
Yeah, well.
But so he's incredibly famous, but he's also so normal that he had breakfast every weekday at his house from 6 a.m. till 9 a.m. For anyone who wanted to turn up. Anyone could just turn up at his house and he cooked them breakfast.
Awesome.
So can you imagine doing that for Jimmy Barnes or fucking Dick Johnson or fucking someone in Australia who's famous? You know,
didn't he help you out with like a little book that you needed? You were over there and you needed some parts or something.
No, I needed a phone number. But I just finished on the breakfast thing. I remember being there one day and some grey nomads pulled up in their camper, and they were coming. They'd heard this rumor, and but no one ever thought it was true.
Yeah,
and they just pulled up and came in, and they would. And here's Junior cooking breakfast.
Yeah,
and you'd go there, and there'd always be a half a dozen people, and the reason that he wasn't swamped was because people didn't believe it was true. They didn't believe you could just turn up at Junior Johnson's house and he was going to cook you a feed. And so I wanted Jeff Hammond's phone number. And anyone who doesn't know, Jeff Hammond's a NASCAR commentator. He was Darrell Waltrip's crew chief, worked for Junior Johnson. He's a very high-profile person in the sport, and he's one of those people who are pretty untouchable. He's so well-known. He's not someone you can just reach out to. So what happened was Robin Best had bought a lot of cars off Junior, and one of the cars that Robin bought was the car that Darrell Waltrip won the very first All-Star racing.
Yeah.
And when Darrell won it, he blew the engine up crossing the start-finish line so they couldn't check the engine. And the car was a real cheater, so NASCAR told Junior never to bring it back to race.
Yeah.
So he sold that car to Robin, and Robin won the first Australian championship in it. And Neil Bonnet, who won that very first race in Australia, actually said in the drivers' meeting that Robin had the best car here. So that was the connection. So what happened was Robin wanted to restore that car, and I needed to get a letter of authenticity off Junior Johnson, a letter of authenticity off Darrell Waltrip, and a letter off Jeff Hammond. And I wanted Jeff Hammond to look at some of the details of the car so he could write that letter to say it was the car. So I said to Junior Johnson, I said, mate, any chance I could get Jeff Hammond's phone number? And he said, over on my desk, there's a scribble pad. His number's written on that scribble pad somewhere, like real matter of fact, And I dare you to try and get Jeff Hammond's phone number. You fucking won't. You just can't do it. So I go over there and I sit at Junior Johnson's desk, and literally fucking everyone's phone numbers on his scribble pad. Everyone who's anyone in motorsport, every fucking driver, every fucking team owner, Hendrick, Childress, all of Tony Stewart, everyone's fucking phone number is written on his fucking scribble pad. Yeah. They're all there.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit shocked, and I'm thinking about writing everyone's number down, but in the end I only take Jeff's number. Yeah. But that's how Junior was. Like it wasn't important. These people who are so famous aren't. They're just people. Yeah. So that was his attitude. And we went to dinner once in Bristol. We went to the March race at Bristol, and we had a table, and we're having a really nice dinner. And a fan came over with one of his friends, saw us sitting there, and wanted to, obviously say hello to Junior. And he said, "Excuse me, sir, can I say hello?" And Junior's like, "Yeah." Said hello. He said, "Can I ask you a question?" And Junior said, "By all means." And this guy goes, "Who was the best driver who ever drove you ever had drive your cars. And Junior, without batting an eyelid, just looked at him and said, I was. I was the best driver who ever drove one of my cars. And everyone just laughed. And then Junior said, but besides me, the best driver who ever drove one of my cars, and in my opinion, the best driver to ever drive a stock car is Darryl Waltrip.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty fucking incredible statement, considering the people who Junior had in his cars.
Yeah.
To openly say that Darryl Waltrip, in his mind, is the greatest driver to ever drive a stock car.
And his younger brother, Michael, we were talking about this off air. He started a pretty trick setup with his race team. And the way he just, as you said he was like a sponsor magnet at one stage.
Because he knew how to look after them. He knew how to mention them. He knew how to promote his sponsors. There was nobody better at it than Michael was. Like, Michael came out to Australia and raced at our first 2 race meetings. A lot of people don't realise that. He came out here and raced. He's and people don't give him any credit for, they always want to jump on him saying, he wasn't any good, blah, blah, blah. There's only 200 people have won a cup race.
Yeah.
Out of fucking nearly 5,000 people have raced a cup car, only 200 have won a cup race.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether Michael's won 4 or 6 cup races. He won an All-Star race. He won 2 Daytona 500s. And he obviously won some truck races. He won one at Daytona. And he, after retiring, came back and won a truck race. He won a bunch of bush races. He won a championship in that. I can't remember what that series was called before. Before
the Grand National type of Nations Cup type of thing.
Yeah, well, they were little 4-cylinder cars.
Yeah, okay. Oh, I know what you're talking about. But
he won a championship. Like the guy, people just want to put shit on. Sissy Mikey.
Yeah,
but he's a fucking great. Dale Earnhardt put him in one of his fucking cars.
Yeah.
And told him, if you drive my car, you will win the Daytona 500.
And he did.
And he fucking did.
Yeah.
He won it twice.
Yeah.
So all these fucking garage fucking cock-pulling experts on the fucking internet machine who sit there and bag Mikey, they're idiots, because you get in a cup car and go win one.
Yeah. Go
win 2 Daytona 500s.
Yeah.
Tony Stewart hasn't even won a fucking Daytona 500.
Yeah.
So, and he's recognised as one of the greatest, rightly so.
Yeah.
Mikey, he's and that Michael Waltrip Racing that he set up, he built in 1 year what Hendrick built in fucking 30. That team was mighty. And only for
and he had Dale Jarrett as a teammate too, and then he had Ruderman and Michael McDowell. Yeah, he had quite a roster of drivers.
Oh yeah. What's his name that end up going to? He's a commentator now.
Clint Boyer.
Clint,
Clint Boyer as well. Yeah.
That was the downfall of Mikey.
That was essentially that was the end of it.
Clint's spinning out on purpose. Allegedly, is what brought it all down.
Crashgate.
Yeah, but it wasn't actually that caused it wasn't actually that on the track that day that they were fined over. It was an incident with Truex, a conversation over the radio.
Yeah,
that was the
end of it.
Yeah,
really,
that was what it was. It was a conversation over the radio with Truex, and what happened was then Mikey lost a major sponsor, and the guy who was funding Mikey wanted out, so it all just imploded. But it's a real shame, because Mikey brought in a big powerhouse team that should still exist.
What's your take on the modern day NASCAR? I know we were talking about like the Gen 3, the new cars coming out, but what's your take on the playoffs, the stage racing and all that? Do you enjoy that, or do you just prefer the old school? I prefer, as a driver myself and a commentator, I prefer just going from start to finish and finishing that race and going from there. What's your take on the whole?
Yeah, me too. But I also think that the stage racing really serves a purpose because it brings a lot of excitement to the end of those. Like, you would have races in the past, especially speedway races, where guys who just sit at the back
And wait till the end.
for 400 fucking laps
Yeah.
because they don't want to risk their car.
Yeah.
They don't want to race. They want to be there at the end.
Yeah.
So now, if they want to get points, stage points to be in the playoffs,
Yeah.
they have to fucking race
Yeah.
in those 2 stages.
Yeah.
So it's brought that in, which is really good. You know, so I think that's it was something that needed to happen. They'll always whinge about it. These hicks always want to whinge about everything. You know, have you been over there?
To America?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been over there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I went in 2010 and met Marcus Ambrose and went on like a Aussie NASCAR tour, and it was absolutely amazing. Like compared to the supercar stuff that we have here, as you would know yourself because you've been over a few times.
Yeah.
Just as you said about Michael Waltrip's setup, I went there. I went to Kyle Busch Motorsports, Chip Ganassi Racing, Penske Racing. Penske's another big team.
Yeah.
Just the way that they do their motorsport compared to here is just, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so overwhelming just as a fan. Do you know what I mean? And Dale Jr., who I kind of helped copy my podcast off, he actually turned his old merchandise area into his podcast, into his podcast zone. So it's just crazy that the amount of money that they put into their car racing, the way that they generate sponsors is completely different to us as well, which I'm sure we'll talk about. It's just, they just know how to create, you know, atmosphere, so to speak. Do you know what I mean?
Well, see, in the early days, like here in Australia, we have like a lot of the sponsorship is created over merchandise. Like people sitting at home don't realise that a merchandise sponsorship deal is a deal where the sponsor doesn't pay any money. They just give you the right to use their brand to sell merchandise to create income.
Yeah.
And there's a few of those that have happened in Australia over the years, and I suspect there's probably a few of those now. People don't like you to know that, but that's how it works. Is like a big brand, like say Coca-Cola, for instance. That's a very marketable brand if you're a race team.
Yeah.
So you go to them and you say, "I don't want you to give me any money.
Yep.
I just want to be able to use your brand on my cars so I can sell merchandise."
Yeah.
So the sponsor gets free marketing from you.
Yeah.
And you get to sell merchandise with their brand all over, which is very saleable.
Yeah.
So you make money.
Yeah.
And I know one in Australia that happened 10 or 15 years ago. A Queensland team had that was purely that, and I'm sure there are teams now that are purely that.
Yeah.
The Red Bull team in America.
Yep.
The NASCAR team.
Yeah. Which had Casey Kane for a while too.
That was one of those.
Yeah.
Well, Casey Kane's one of those guys. If he had spent less time worrying about his fucking eyebrows and more time worrying about racing, he probably would have done a lot better.
Yeah.
You know, and the other one is that fucking waste of space that won NASCAR, won the Daytona 500, and then didn't do
what car? I might be able to know.
He was driving the Wood Brothers 21.
Oh, Trevor Bayne.
Trevor Bayne.
Yeah, there we go.
All he does is worry about fucking Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus this, Jesus that, fucking thank Jesus. Thank fucking Jesus I'm here. Thank fucking Jesus I won. Thank Jesus
Yeah.
Fuck me drunk, mate. Forget about fucking Jesus. He doesn't pay your bills.
Yeah.
Worry about your fucking racing.
Yeah.
If I had a fucking race team in NASCAR, that would be the first thing I would tell my drivers. You fucking thank Jesus once, you're out.
Yeah.
Because I'm fucking paying the bills. The sponsors are fucking paying the bills. When Jesus ante-ups with some fucking money, you can fucking thank him.
Yeah.
But until then, you thank your sponsors, your team, and fucking me.
Yeah.
And that's Trevor Bayne. He's so fucking focused on his fucking Lord and Saviour that he'll never win another fucking race now that he's back in trucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, he's trucks or Xfinity's back in now.
Xfinity's, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he's that shits me.
Yeah.
I don't care if you love fucking Jesus and you're into that fucking fairy worshipping shit. That's fucking fine.
Yeah.
But imaginary friends don't pay your fucking racing bills.
Yeah.
All right? They fucking don't.
Yeah.
So fucking shut up about them.
Yeah.
Thank the people that do pay your fucking racing bills.
Yeah.
Fucking Trevor Bayne. Oh, fucking Jesus. Fucking Jesus.
You clearly don't like Trevor Bayne.
I just don't like that bullshit.
Yeah. Who's your favourite ranked drive? Do you love what Kyle Larson did for the last few years, where he got fired and then he just came back on?
Kyle Larson is amazing.
Yeah.
What he said was fucking totally wrong. He should have been smarter than that. He should have been better educated than to say something like that. But to blame Australia for him saying that was fucking totally wrong.
Yeah.
Because he said, they say it all the time in Australia, so I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
That's fucking not true. That's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
We don't fucking say that at all.
No.
That's a fucking American slang word, not an Australian slang word.
Yeah, I know.
So, to say that he heard it all the time down here in the fucking pits in sprint car and then
yeah.
And then just
goes
back home and says it is fucking crap. So, yeah, that's bullshit. He should never have said that. But, mate, I think we're living in a time where we're witnessing possibly the greatest fucking driver ever.
Kyle Larson is just crazy good.
He is. I mean, Kyle Busch to me is at the moment still probably the best the sport's ever seen.
He's my favourite driver.
People carry on about his 200 wins can't be compared with Richard Petty's 200 wins. They're fucking right. They can't be. Because Richard Petty was bashing up farmers on fucking country tracks on Wednesday nights. Trophy hunting.
Yeah.
Racing against nobody except for Billy Bob and his fucking son.
Yeah.
In fucking shit cars, and Petty had sponsorship and fucking factory cars. So all those, not all of them, because some of them were against, the Carl Yobros and all those early guys, Wood Brothers and guys who had cars in those days. And they also were racing in some of those big races. But see, all those races in those days were all sanctioned by NASCAR, and they're all Grand National races. So it didn't matter whether you raced on a Wednesday against fucking, like I said, Billy Bob and his fucking brother.
Yeah. That
was still classed as a national fucking series event. So a lot of those races can't be compared. Kyle Busch raced in Cup, in Xfinity, and in trucks, and just fucking dominated. No one's won 100 fucking races in those fucking Xfinity cars. No one ever fucking will.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many he's got in truck, but I reckon
they actually had to change the point system because of him, because of other classes.
Well, they had to stop the drivers from being able to race as many races as they wanted to in those series. And they did it. They changed the rules twice.
Yeah.
The Kyle Busch rule.
Yeah.
It's called the Kyle Busch rule.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Because of how many races he was winning.
Yeah.
They changed it to 8 races a year, then they changed it to 5.
Yeah. And he still comes back and wins.
And I reckon when he finishes his career, because he has said that he has his career goals set.
Yep.
And one of them was to win 100 Xfinity races.
Yep.
And he's done that, so he stopped racing Xfinity. I think when he finishes his career in Cup, he's going to go back to trucks and race a full-time year in trucks to win a truck championship.
You reckon he's going to...
He doesn't have a truck championship.
Yeah, that's right. See, because that wins in every...
Yeah, he's already got Xfinity championships, and he's already got 2 Cup championships.
Yeah, takes a trifecta.
And also these fucking monkey fuckers, they say that Kyle Busch doesn't deserve that first championship because he missed...
Because he broke his leg.
Because he missed whatever, 13 races or 11 races.
Yeah.
What don't they understand? He still managed to score more points than everyone else with 11 less fucking races.
Yeah. Yeah.
He caught everyone with 11 less fucking races.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, what does that tell you about how good he is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he the best driver in your opinion ever in NASCAR? Or,
well, see, I don't.
Or do you do different eras?
Well, for me, when I first got interested, it was Richard Petty, and then it was Tim Richmond.
I reckon Tim Richmond. I totally agree. He was so underrated.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. He was just a crazy, crazy good driver.
Tim Richmond, then Darrell Waltrip, and then Tony Stewart, and then Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
They're the ones that I've always.
And then Kyle Larson in the morning.
Yeah, but they always want to judge by championships.
Mm-hmm.
I judge, if you want to judge greatness, you judge by wins.
Yeah.
Because the way you win a championship changes.
Yeah.
Changes all the time.
Yeah.
But the way you win doesn't. You only win one way. That's by being the first to finish.
Mm.
So if you look at wins, that tells you who, like that top win list, Petty's doesn't count. As far as I'm concerned, his doesn't count.
Yep.
Because it was in an era when it wasn't a part of the modern era. It wasn't a part of anything. It was just the really beginning days. In the modern era, he won fuck all.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
He won sweet fuck all.
Yeah. In 94, I think, 93.
I mean, he's still great.
Yeah.
He's still a huge part. He's still the fucking king, and he's still fucking great, and all those things. But he doesn't have the runs on the board when everyone got on equal playing, when everyone had really good cars, and everyone had sponsorship, and everyone had manufacturers. He didn't win any races.
Yeah. Yeah.
He didn't win any.
No.
He only won prior when he was the only one with everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, there'll be hits taken out of me by half of the South.
Well, the good thing about this podcast, Tony, is you can actually just talk shit, not actually see it on the internet on a screen and read it. You can just say it and you can see it later.
Yeah, I know. The feedback from people when they see this or listen to this will be fantastic, especially some of those guys.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on V8 supercars? Because I know you're not really into it, but what's your thought on the Australian motorsport scene? Because you never really wanted to get into even NASCAR in the modern era today, like in the community. You just stay away from it and do your own family life, don't you?
Well, I don't want to do that. The young Zach, what's his name's doing that.
That stock car Australia,
and that's great, but it's not what I would like to do. I'm old now. I'm 60, so my time's over as far as doing. If I was going to do something, I want to do it real. That's more of a heritage class for hobby guys, and they're having fun and it's great. V8 supercars, right?
What's your take on it?
They fucking ruined it.
Yeah. When
they changed the cars in '93 or whatever, when I went to supercar.
Went to when there was NASCAR and supercars at the same time as we were talking.
What happened was my engineer on my NASCAR car was one of the guys who was involved in the geometry on the new V8 supercar series, on the steering geometry for those cars. Very smart guy. Now, go back to the Australian Touring Car Championship. Those guys went and decided which car they wanted to run as per whatever the rules were for the different classes.
Yeah.
And they would go and then they would bring it home, whether it be a body they bought off the manufacturer or a whole car, and they would build a race car. They would engineer their own race car within the regulations. And it allowed people like Dick Johnson to build those incredible XD Falcons that were groundbreaking as far as taking it to, the Holden guys and really well put together cars, well engineered cars. And that continued on. Like people like Bob Jane and Alan Moffat brought professionalism to Australian motorsport. They're the guys who really made it professional. And then the next era of guys, the Dick Johnsons and the Peter Brocks and the Larry Perkins.
Wayne Gardner in there too. Wayne Gardner raced in supercars.
Yeah, he raced with us once too.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone so fucking impressed with themselves in my fucking whole life as that guy.
Really? Wayne Gardner?
Oh, yeah. He comes into the drivers' meeting. He's never sat in one of our cars before, and the first question he said was, "What's the lap record?"
and he just that's it.
He just thought he was going to go out and fucking
beat everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So got Dick and Perkins and all and Brock and all those guys engineering these wonderful cars. Larry Perkins, probably the greatest
fantastic engineer.
Of all time.
Yeah.
Then you start this V8 Supercar series, and the first nail in the coffin, and people won't agree with me, was when Miedecke. Mm-hmm. Once you start adding anything to a car that costs money that isn't making the car race any better, actually race any better, what's its point? So they had Miedecke, then they add fucking more things, then they add more electronics and more fucking data and all this fucking stuff, and they change the car, they shorten the fucking cars up. Then you got these little fucking short doors on the Commodores to get the fucking wheelbase right, and they start then they go to manufacturing that flash new chassis 10 years ago, whatever it was.
Yep.
Then you go back a couple of years to that first Mustang that looked like a fucking Volkswagen.
Yeah.
They'd fucking bastardized these fucking cars to the extent where they can't be fucking fixed. You put
There's a whole lot of error on these cars these days in the supercars.
You put a fucking body on that car that's meant to be a Mustang and it looks like a fucking Volkswagen Beetle, you're doing something fucking wrong. So all of a sudden you've got these completely fucking over-engineered cars that aren't designed by the race teams, that aren't engineered by the race teams, that are just fucking built to this fucking rule package. It's not a touring car anymore. It's a fucking sports sedan.
Yeah.
So they need, if they want it to be successful again, that series, is it still the Australian Touring Car Championship?
It's just called Supercars. That's all it's called.
So it's not even that.
No.
It's not even. So there you go. So when they say Peter Brock won fucking 10 Bathurst or 9 Bathurst or whatever he won, so how do you count them all? Did he drive in the Supercar era?
No, he didn't. Oh, he drove I don't know. It's gone through so many names. It's gone through different bodies too, a Vesco. And
so how do you compare apples to oranges?
Yeah.
How do you say I couldn't even tell you who drives in it now, but whoever's in it now, if they're being successful, you can't. How do you have them both on the same page? Because they do, don't they? They say Brock won 10, many championships. Dick Johnson won this many championships. Joe Blow in the series now has won fucking this many championships. It's not the same fucking championship, is it?
No, it's not.
That's a fucking touring car championship where they were driving touring cars.
Yeah.
This is a fucking championship where they're driving these fucking over-engineered fucking spaceships.
Yeah.
So it's not the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
So there has to be a cut-off fucking line saying, this is where the fucking Australian Touring Car Championship fucking ended.
Yeah.
And this is a fucking new series.
Yeah.
And we're gonna race these fucking over-engineered fucking buckets of shit that no one gives a fuck about anyway. I'll give you a fucking test.
Yeah.
Take 10 V8 supercar drivers down to Woolies dressed in their civvies.
Yep.
Stand them outside Woolies selling fucking raffle tickets for the Lions Club or fucking Apex.
Yeah.
And see how many people fucking recognise any of them.
Yeah.
No, honestly, fucking see how many people recognise any of them.
Yeah.
A few blokes who drink their VB in their shed and watch the V8 supercar races will fucking know who they are.
Yep.
But that's all. A very fucking tiny minority of people will even know who they are. Last year or the year before, because I follow demographics and all this sort of stuff a lot, from when I used to
do sponsor
stuff. That stuff. So I still follow it. 117,000 people, I think it was year before last year, what watched was the average viewership for a V8 supercar race.
I wouldn't have a clue.
117,000 people. It's fucking nothing.
Yeah.
They are so low on the Australian sport fucking ladder when you compare all the ball codes and horse racing and fucking everything. Fucking dirt track Speedway outsell V8 supercars in ticket sales annually.
Yeah.
Dirt track.
Yeah. Speedway.
Right?
Sprint cars.
Real racing.
Yeah.
That outsells it in ticket sales. And people go, oh yeah, there's more tracks and there's more fucking races. You know why there's more tracks and more fucking races?
Why?
Because supply and demand. More people want to fucking see it.
Yeah. Yeah. You were saying like obviously we're sticking to the promotional subject, that Eastern Creek Speedway, you didn't even know it was on, or you didn't even
I've been following that a great deal about that track being open. I mean a 70, nearly 80 million or $90 million investment by the New South government's fantastic.
Oh, it's a
but
great
the New
track.
South Wales government made a fucking huge mistake. They had a real fucking opportunity, and they blew it, because I've got nothing at all to say bad about the people who are running it, because I don't know them. I've had no relationship with them.
Yeah.
But
The government.
the government should have just employed a promotion team to run it, and then given them a budget to fucking promote the Speedway and do it properly. Because somewhere in the late 80s or 90s, Speedway promotion got lost. These guys who are running Speedway, they're not promoters. They're track hirers. They hire their track out to race teams to run on and then sell tickets to people to watch.
Yeah.
Because I put on events, musical events.
Yep.
I produce, promote, and book musical events, right? Now, producing an event is being a promoter and putting it on properly and promoting. Do you know what promoting means?
Means getting it out.
If you've got a fucking Speedway track, promoting means fucking promoting it, fucking advertising it. That's what promoting is.
Yeah.
You know, it's not fucking having a track. Okay, if I'm putting on a fucking concert or a festival and I've got Jimmy Barnes fucking playing, what would happen if I said, mate, you've got to pay $250 to fucking play at my fucking festival,
He'd say
and
that.
your fucking band have all got to pay to get in?
Yeah.
This is what these fucking track promoters are doing. They're charging the drivers to be there. They're charging the fucking teams to be there. They're charging the driver's wife and kids to fucking come in. You can't charge the fucking people who are putting on the show to fucking be there. And then they have this thing called 50-50, where they sell tickets to the fucking crowd.
Yep.
And the winner wins 50% of the money that's taken from the crowd.
Yep.
The other 50% goes to buy the fucking ticket, the trophies for the sprint car drivers. So the crowd are buying the fucking sprint car drivers their fucking trophies.
Yep.
Get fucked.
Yeah.
What a fucking monkey trying to fuck a football show that is.
Yeah.
How amateur hour is that when you're asking the crowd to fucking buy the trophies for the fucking sprint car teams?
Yeah.
That's pathetic. That's fucking pathetic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need promoters. We need people who are going to actually promote.
Yeah.
That fucking first race at the fucking Sydney, that
Eastern
wasn't.
Creek.
It was advertised in fucking Facebook. I don't know where, maybe a couple of fucking papers. It wasn't fucking widely promoted through radio and through fucking television and through all the things it should have been. And then they'll come back and say, yeah, but all of the Speedway community knew. Fuck the Speedway community. They're coming anyway. We need to get new fucking blood. We need to be fucking educating new people to come and watch. We need to be creating fucking household names again, like in the fucking 70s and 80s and fucking early 90s when fucking David House and Barry Graham and Rodney Combs and John Pine and Grenville Anderson and all these guys were fucking household names.
Yeah.
Because they were fucking stars, and the people who were promoting Speedway promoted them guys as fucking stars.
Yeah.
Now no one fucking knows who anyone is because no one's promoting. They're not fucking promoting. They're not a promoter's fucking ass.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're fucking doing. They need to get people involved who have the skills to promote and how to use a budget, and not asking the crowd to buy the fucking trophies.
Yeah.
The fuck is that?
Yeah. I know.
The 50-50 trophy. 50% goes to the winner and 50% buys the trophies for the sprint car. You're the promoter, you buy the fucking trophies.
Yeah. I hope this goes viral.
No, it fucking pisses me off. They just don't know what they're fucking doing.
Yeah.
So, via Supercars, we can fix that easily.
Yeah.
just take all those cars and push them into the fucking tip. They're fucking rubbish. Or just have a museum for them or something. This is what happened. Some people fucked up in a bunch of fucking ways, and we ended up with this abortion that looks like a fucking Volkswagen, which is and so we're sorry, but anyway, you can look at them and laugh now how silly they are.
Yep.
And go back to being an Australian Touring Car Championship. Let the teams pick a car they want to drive.
Yep.
I know we don't have an Australian car anymore, but we've still got cars out there that we can make sporty and
there's
race.
the TCR series, which is on 4-cylinder cars that are currently on the road all the time.
Yeah. But we can just do that and let the guys engineer their own cars and go back racing. Let's do what Dick Johnson did. Do what fucking Perkins did. Yeah. All those. Let's do what they did again and get a real Australian Touring Car Championship happening again.
Yeah.
And start bringing some drivers in that don't have to bring their dad's checkbook.
Yep.
Let teams build cars again. Why is there a limit
on grid numbers?
There's only 30 cars or something. Why is that?
No, there's 24, 25. Sorry, this year.
Why?
Supercars.
Why is it?
It's kind of like the charter system in NASCAR. So they've got the charter system. They've got I think 33 cars or something like that, or 35. That's their charter system, and then they've actually got the supercar charter system this time, and they've capped it to try and make more money for those current teams. And F1's doing something similar.
Yeah, 25 cars. Fuck, what's the point?
Yeah.
What's the fucking point?
Exactly. What I was going to say is you got the Bathurst Bathurst 6 hour and 12 hour coming up, and they've got 70 cars on the grid for that, and that's just guys building their own cars and making those cars go and race that event.
That's what it should be all about.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it should be all about. And it's time that the people who are running this V8 supercar fucking series realise that they have overdeveloped this car to the point where they can't fix it.
Yeah.
They can't fucking fix it.
It's too much aero.
It's not a fucking car. It's a fucking manufactured... It's a fucking sports sedan.
Yep.
And it's just, and they talk about, well, let's go to this country. Let's go every fucking country they've gone to. When they went to Dubai, there was one guy fucking cleaning the fucking stands. You know, walking around with a bucket and a pail. Fucking, he was the fucking crowd.
Yeah.
You know, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
No one knows it exists.
Yeah.
You go to fucking America and walk down the pits. I've been to the States over 30 times, right?
Yeah.
And been over there with NASCAR. I know a lot of people involved over there. But if you walk down there and say, do you know who this is, and mention a V8 supercar driver, they won't know who any of them are. Tell me who a race car driver, an international race car driver of any real note, someone who's currently still involved in racing cars, sedan racing, tin-top racing, who has come out here to race a V8 supercar.
From outside of our country?
Yeah.
None. Well, not that I can remember, no.
Why is that?
Because I guess they're not they don't want to race it.
No, they don't give a fuck. Most of them don't even know it exists.
Yeah.
And secondly, what's the gain?
There's no as I've had in other podcasts, as you've said in the NASCAR thing, there's prize money overseas, but in supercars, it's a Motorsport Australia's pulling in like a $6 billion industry. But yeah, there's no purse for any of the drivers these days. What you said, which has never been broken since
they hold up a fucking pole award check for $500 fucking dollars.
Yeah.
How fucking embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's fucking grocery shopping money.
Yeah. Or fuel money these days.
Look what I won. I can buy me fucking groceries.
Yeah.
You fucking idiot. That's not a prize.
Yeah.
That's an embarrassment.
Yeah.
$500 to be racing at what they consider the top level of Australian motorsport. For a start, I'll give you the tip, it's not the top level of Australian motorsport, not even close. So back to the drivers coming out. No driver of any note who is a current driver in the world of any stature would sit his ass in one. No one has. A few retired guys have had a little go that have been paid to come and fucking drive the car. Paid. there's got to be something in it. Like who? They asked, what's his name, the Australian Formula One driver, Webber.
Mark Webber.
Right.
Yeah, Webber or Ricardo. There's a few of them, yeah.
They've asked them.
Yeah.
They've all been very polite.
Yeah. The only one to do it was Alan Jones.
Yeah, well, I've got fucking running with that cunt too. But
yeah,
they all very polite when, when they're asked in an interview, and they've I know, no, well, I'm busy, or it's not something. But behind the scenes, they're going, oh, fuck, as if I'm fucking going to do that, look like a fucking idiot. I've raced Formula One, I'm not going to fucking race that fucking thing.
Yeah. They're not a race for $500, they're on a race for a few million.
Fucking $500 for a fucking pole. But look at this. Mum, go get the groceries.
It should be a fuel award.
Yeah, and they stand up, they're so fucking proud, and they fucking spruik all this fucking bullshit, all this propaganda that they've convinced their fucking loyal followers that it's the fucking greatest thing since fucking sliced bread. We're going to go here and we're going to go there. They're fucking not going anywhere. They're not going to go back to fucking Newcastle. It was a fucking debacle. No one went. They're not going to go back to Canberra. Nobody fucking went to the fucking race in Canberra.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's... If they want it to fucking succeed, can it and start again.
Yeah. And
stop pretending it's the same thing as when fucking Dick and Brock and Perkins and all them guys were racing.
All those guys, yeah.
It's not the fucking same thing.
No.
It's a fucking different thing. Alan Jones, I told him in an article once that he was when he was driving in that blue fucking thing.
Yeah, the Komatsu Ford. That was
no, the one that pretended to be the Peter Jackson car, but it wasn't.
Oh, right, yes. I know what you're talking about, and fans will know.
Yeah, he rubbished what we were doing in the NASCAR thing and said that we were a bunch of fucking agricultural fucking so and so's or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wrote a fucking great story that was in Auto Action. Fucking giving it to him.
Yeah.
And I just said that, people like Peter Brock and Dick Johnson and Glenn Seaton don't fucking rubbish other forms of motorsport.
Yeah.
And those are guys who actually win races. As opposed to fucking him.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I just said, I thought you were a great Formula One driver, but as far as a supercar driver or whatever they're called, whatever. I said, your driving is about as exciting as watching a fucking Pope die. And he took great offence to it and come and fucking confronted me at Calder.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to fucking step into me.
Did he?
Yeah.
What happened then?
He had two goons with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long time ago. But he's people like him that want to fucking rubbish us, well, they're going to get fucking rubbish back or rubbish. Rubbishing what we were doing, we were really trying to make something happen, and we went close.
Yeah,
and I'll admit it, the supercar thing killed us because when they went back to the V8 series and they built that new car, the first rendition of that new car was fucking great.
Yeah,
when they had the VTs and all those things, and they really started kicking on. It was a really good series. It had a bunch of good guys in it, and it kicked our asses. Kicked our asses back to where we come from.
When they had the Winfield Triple Challenge and all that type.
Yeah, and so that was the end. That was a part of our downfall was their success. But Alan Jones wanted to give us a flogging for no apparent reason. I mean, he was obviously asked what he thought about what we were doing, and his comment was that something about us being agricultural. Actually, Larry Perkins said a similar thing, but when he said it, it was a bit off the cuff. He was just having a joke.
Yeah.
But when Alan Jones said it, he was being nasty. So that's my thoughts on.
That's your thoughts on supercars.
On supercars and Speedway. Speedway needs promoters.
Yeah.
Promoters. People who promote.
Yeah.
You guys, the guys who have got tracks who are calling yourself promoters, look up what it fucking means. Because you don't know what it fucking means.
Yeah.
You think it's renting the fucking track to people to run their cars around in circles on.
Yeah.
It's not renting the track.
Well, there'll be some content in here that should surely go viral. You can only hope, Tony. You can only hope.
Oh, no, they're going to fucking hate it, and I'm
Yeah.
going to get fucking panned from arsehole to fucking breakfast time, but I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
My criticism comes from a really good place. I want these things to succeed.
Yeah, you're passionate.
Yeah,
Like, to be fair, you're
I'm passionate about
Yeah.
Australian motorsport, and I'm passionate about Australian music, those things. But my comparison is true. I couldn't charge Jimmy Barnes to fucking play at a festival. Why are you in Speedway charging drivers? Bob Jane did it right. When Bob Jane, I know the crowds are different. Like we had a lot bigger crowds than you have in Speedway.
Yeah.
But we didn't pay to come to the races. We paid an entry fee, which is fair enough because you have to know you're coming. But what you get back has to be far greater than your entry fee. And all our crew got in for free, and our family got in for free.
Yeah.
And we got 10 free passes to give away. That's what, and we got paid really well.
Yeah.
If you're doing it right, do you know? Let me explain to these fucking people what they don't understand. If you want to sponsor your fucking race meeting or your racetrack,
Yep.
okay?
Yep.
Take Big Bob's fucking fizzy cola drink.
Yep.
The biggest fucking cola drink in the world.
Yep.
They've got an advertising budget of fucking tens of millions of dollars.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. So Planet X energy drink is killing it. Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
You don't want them to give you any money. You want them to tag on your business.
Yep.
So they can make some of their ads as a part of your fucking Speedway. Doesn't cost you anything. Doesn't cost them anything. They're still advertising, but they also what the gain for them is that their fucking sponsorship is all over your track. So when they're advertising, fucking Big Bob Speedway is fucking cola is happening this fucking Saturday night on the racetrack.
Yep.
Big Bob's is up there. Big Bob's Cola. Speedway.
Like how NASCAR does every race. They have a different sponsor per race.
Big Bob's Cola is fucking sponsoring the fucking race event. Big Bob's Cola already had that ad.
Yeah.
They were already going to advertise fucking 10 times on Friday night.
Yep.
But now it's got fucking your Speedway at the end of it.
Yep.
You don't pay them for that. You just get them to do it.
Yeah.
And to get them to do it, you say you're going to fucking put it all over your track.
Yep.
It doesn't cost you any fucking money.
Yep.
You've just got to get good promoting people
Yeah.
to fucking do that for you.
Yeah.
Hire a company who understand what promoting is and fucking do it. And stop fucking making your crowd pay for your trophies.
Yep.
That's fucking embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's really fucking embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like the other day, I think they sold fucking $6,000 or $5,000 worth of fucking tickets, 50-50 tickets at fucking Parramatta.
Yep.
And half the money, someone won when they drew it, and the other half goes to a pool for the year to buy trophies for the.
Yeah. Did you ever race at Parramatta Speedway?
No.
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 Okay.
No, never did.
Yeah.
No, I went 1,000 times when I was younger, and I went to.
Did you go to the showground?
No, I never went to
Liverpool?
the showground. No.
No,
Liverpool.
you went to
Absolutely.
Liverpool?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it was bitumen too. And,
Yeah,
and
right.
Charlie when it was bitumen. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We never really got to touch on that.
They were really good days too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I never raced at those places, but I went there. But for me, Charlie was the place, and in those days, sedan racing in Australia was king. Dirt sedan racing was much bigger than sprint cars because sprint cars evolved out of super modifieds.
Yeah.
And super modifieds, we had guys like Warren Gregg who were super modified drivers that were locally. He was actually a Murray Bateman guy, and a Barry Guy from Canberra, and all those guys who went into the sprint car. Sprint car was getting big, but sedan racing was what was huge in Australia, and somehow it just went away. I mean, they're still racing them, but they're not. It's not. Super sedans at the moment is really going through the roof all over Australia. Super sedans are really taking off.
And that's what you're doing now. We'll close off the podcast now that you're doing you've done a bit of legend cars and bit of Speedway, haven't you? Like you had your late model, didn't you?
In 2016, a guy offered me an opportunity, Cole Robertson, who was a part of NASCAR in America with Barry Graham, which became the Richard Petty driving experience. He also raced NASCAR here a few times, and he raced, he had late models, but he also raced Grand Nationals in Australia. So he's been around and a real stalwart of the industry.
Yep.
He actually got sick, and after talking to him, he offered me an opportunity to drive his late model. And he's because I was older and my expertise is in that low traction, high horsepower type racing, he offered me that opportunity to race his car. So we tested and had got the car all sign written and did 2 or 3 tests, and it was really good. And just as we were about to start, I got sick. So the whole thing got canned.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I never got to actually race the car, which killed me because that was what I always wanted to do from 30 years ago. I never got to do the thing that I actually wanted to do.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to NASCAR. I wanted to race Speedway, and the thing that I always wanted, I never got. So that's really disappointing that I never got to do what I wanted to do. But now I'm sort of at the stage where if I find an opportunity to maybe race a super sedan or a modified production sedan, which is a really good class, I might do that.
Yeah.
But I still can't shake the itch.
You still can't shake it. It's still all there.
Yeah, I can't shake the itch. Still can't. I still got my steering wheel and all my internal stuff to go in the car.
Yeah. Yeah. What was in your old shed and your new shed? What was going from place to place? Do you remember like taking apart? I remember you seeing on social media you were taking apart your old place and moving, and it was a whole of a shit show because we were trying to organise a podcast to move it all the way up to Queensland. You left some stuff behind, and you left some memories because you couldn't take it all.
Oh well, one of my NASCAR cars, the very first car I raced, is still in Bowning. It's at my cousin's place. I'm picking that up soon to take home. 2 Zephyr utes that are parts from my dad's Zephyr I'm restoring. I got to take up there. But most some old stuff got bulldozed into the ground. Because I just couldn't take everything. And when you're in the same place for 50 years, you just accumulate so much stuff. But I still have a lot of memorabilia. I gave a lot away a few years ago. I gave like a few friends of mine who have got like man caves and whatever. And I actually put a few things on Facebook to give away to people who are into motorsport. Some panels and bits and pieces. I gave a lot away.
You got heaps of fans though still on the internet. Like that's what you pointed to the camera before. But you've got guys creating on computer games your race car.
Yeah, that's really
in the
good.
modern era. What do you think of that?
I think there's 3 or 4 guys now are racing variations of my race cars on iRacing.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
Yeah,
it's quite a makes you feel pretty good that people want to do that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I enjoy. They send me screenshots and stuff of the car, and it's really cool to see that's being done.
Yeah, and your son James, he's been pretty vocal and supported me with my podcast. How's his music? How's the music scene been going from? I know it's been on and off since COVID and whatnot, but he's pretty passionate about his music.
Oh well, he started when he got serious when he was 16. He wanted to leave school and be a full-time musician.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. He recorded an album.
What's the band called?
It's just a James Southwell band.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, all right.
He's headlined almost every blues music festival in Australia. He's had some of the greatest musicians in Australia in his band.
Yep.
He's played for Angry Anderson for a lot of years. Played for Stevie Wright.
Yep.
Played for a lot of people. Played with a lot of people, shared the stage with some really big names. Went to America in 2016 and recorded an album in Louisiana. And that album, he had started recording the album here in Australia. And his drummer in Australia is a guy called Mark Kennedy, and Mark Kennedy is regarded as the greatest drummer in Australia. He's played with everybody. Even played with Ringo Starr. Drums together. This guy's played with everyone. So Mark said to James, "You're not going to get the sounds you want here in Australia. You want that New Orleans sound. You're going to have to go to New Orleans."
Yeah.
So we went to New Orleans and we recorded an album at a studio called Dockside Studios. Very famous. B.B. King, Bruce Springsteen, everyone's recorded there. So James went there and recorded an album. The engineer that recorded the album for James has got 6 Grammys.
Yep.
So Charlie Wooten, famous American bass player, he produced the album and played bass on it, and he brought in some of the greatest players in America to play on James's record, and recorded the record. It's called the Dockside Dockside Sessions, and it actually got into the final ballot to be nominated for a Grammy.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Just missed out by that much.
Yeah.
Middle of the night one night, I was checking my email and I got an email from the engineer, and it was a screenshot. And it was a screenshot of the people in the final ballot for the Grammy Award for Contemporary Blues Album. And it was Eric Clapton and
all these
you know, really big names. And then I'm reading down and James Southall, and I'm like, what the fuck? And anyway, he was awesome. He's the only Australian artist to ever be that close to a Grammy in that category. We've had a couple of traditional blues artists that have got Grammys and got nominations, but in the contemporary one, he's the only one to ever get that close, which was a pretty big feather in his cap. It's a very, very good record. Yeah. Should have brought you a copy. I forgot.
That's all right. It's all good. I did buy your first book, which we'll wait on later on.
You've got copy number 1.
Yeah, I know. That was wrapped with that. I ordered it, and I was hoping I could read it today, but we're going to wait it out.
I don't.
Do you want to announce when it's actually going to come out? Because it got rescheduled, didn't it?
Okay, so the book, it's called The Crucifixion of Southie. Yep. It was meant to be out on the 23rd of March.
It was actually sentimental that date too, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, the reason I wrote the book is because a friend of mine was killed on the 22nd of March 2012 in a really, really bad accident. And I got to thinking about his life, and because he's got 2 beautiful daughters, and how that his daughters are never going to hear his stories. So on the way home from his funeral, I thought, that's not going to happen to my kids. I'm going to tell my story. So I wrote about a 15,000 word outline of all short stories of my life, and I printed it out and I sent it to a few friends and family, and everyone responded really well to it. And so I thought, well, I might expand it, and then one of my friends knew a publisher and sent it to a publisher. And the publisher wrote to me and said how good it was. And then I got sent to an American publisher who was going to publish it, but they wanted to change things that I didn't want to change. Like the cover is me naked being crucified, like Jesus on the cross. Yeah, and
definitely a wild man, Tony.
And with my fucking nuts and fucking old fella, everything all showing, Yeah. And this woman writes back to me from America, and she says, "We can't have that cover." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Because we don't want a depiction of Jesus like that." And I said, "It's not fucking Jesus. It's me." And then I had to send her a picture of me to show that I look like fucking Jesus. Yeah. And then they said, "No, we can't have it." And I said, "Well, that's what the book is. Yeah. It's about being crucified." So changed, and we went from one publisher to the next, and I found a really niche publisher in Canberra, a guy called James, and he helped me a lot, and he was going to publish it for me. And he helped me get it to sort of a point where it was getting close. So, but then we sort of hit a bit of a wall with it. So I sent it to a proper publishing house here in Australia. because it had got to a stage where it was now a real book. It's 100,000, was 90,000 words then. So I sent it to a real publisher for a review, I suppose. I know that's not the word they use, but for them to look at it and tell me what was wrong or right with it. Cost me, I had to pay for it. They wrote back and told me all the things that were wrong with it, but they loved it. They loved the idea. They loved the whole concept, and they wanted to publish it for me. So we've had to go and fix all the things that were wrong with it as far as a proper book is concerned. So now it's just over 100,000 words. So it's quite a big book now. And it's...
How thick is it? Will it be like that thick? Or like,
probably, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So it's going to be... was... Because it's my first 50 years. So it's... The concept was 50 chapters for 50 years.
Yeah.
But that didn't work when I sent it to this proper publishing house. They said that didn't work, so we had to change it. So now I think it's 24 chapters.
Yeah, okay.
So it's still 50. It's about my first 50 years alive, and so I started writing in 2012 when my friend Chills died, and now it's 10 years it's taken me to get it to where it is. That's it. Will you be able to see that?
Yeah, it's been promoted.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Our production team can zoom in on the thing at the end of the podcast.
Cool. Yeah, well, there's lots of story. That's really good because there's so...
Do you want to hold it up? Do you want me to grab it?
Grab it, yeah.
All right, I'll grab it.
I
actually feel like I'm actually moving out of my chair.
So...
First time ever.
Can you see it or not?
Oh, they can see it. Yeah. It's all right.
So what happened was I got an artist. I got onto given an artist in Adelaide who he did a party. We went to a big party, and I'd rather not say what the party was, but he did the artwork for the party, and so I contacted him and said, I'm doing this, and this guy doesn't know me, so we sent him a bunch of photos of me doing different things, and
not naked.
Yeah, actually no, there is a naked one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's why the world.
Yeah, so we sent that, and he came back with this. Yeah. And it's got so many of the stories from the book are in the artwork.
In the artwork itself. Yeah, okay.
So he's actually drawn the stories into the artwork, and so when people read the book, they're going to then look at the artwork, and they're going to be able to see that story. Yeah. Yeah. Which is really, like, there's a picture here with some bloke snorting a line of coke off the bonnet of my race car at Calder. Yeah. And
that happened, did it?
I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
And so there's lots of me flying helicopters because I went and got my helicopter license. Yeah. And so the artwork's very descriptive and a lot of it, and it's pretty cool. I'm really when I got it back, I couldn't believe it was like the guy I'd known me my whole life. Yeah. He did a really good job. Yeah. So that'll be out soon, and
yep. Oh, you can we'll put it back up there for a bit. Yep.
Yeah, and it's pretty exciting. It's every publisher that's seen it, they've reacted exactly the same way. They've all said it's the most confrontational book they've ever read.
Well, I ordered it. I just got to wait for it.
Yeah, but you've read bits and pieces of
it. I've read draft copies of it, and that's why we've gone for a fair long while today. Yeah. We've done an amazing job. And Tony, I normally I just appreciate my guests for coming in here, but you yourself, not many have known this, but we've organised this, and you were essentially one of my pilot episodes originally before COVID and fucking the world fell apart. Yeah. But not only that, but you've actually travelled down from Queensland in your car with your daughter today to tell your story. And honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I can't thank you enough for it.
Yeah, it's lucky this isn't live because my family don't actually know that I'm not down here. Yeah. We're going to surprise them tonight when we arrive down in your house.
This comes out in a month, so they won't even know about this.
So that's good. That's good. Yeah, so it's a big surprise to them.
Yep. So I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, dude, and hopefully we'll catch up on another time, maybe on a Zoom call or who knows what with the podcast.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually setting up at home, and I'm going to start doing weekly a bit of a weekly. I've already set up a bit of a studio at home.
Yep.
And I've bought a little bit of gear, and I'm going to start doing a weekly sort of yarn about the racing that's on.
Yeah.
The NASCAR stuff, and because I get sick to death of watching the puerile, censored commentators, because then none of them are game to say what they feel. None of them are game to step out and say if they don't like the way something's happened with either with NASCAR or the team or the TV. They're too frightened to lose their jobs. So I want to say, let's stuff about fucking Trevor Bayne. It's fucking true. The people. They're meant to be.
Pitch me for a job while you're at it.
They're meant to be full-time. They're meant to be full-time professional racing car drivers.
Yeah,
that's what their focus should be.
Yeah,
not on how pretty my fucking eyebrows look, or not whether Jesus is on my shoulder, or whatever else their focus is. They should be racing cars. And there's so many things that go on in sport that I look at and in motorsport and see that, I'm not the fucking expert, and I don't want people to think I'm trying to say I'm the expert. I just have my opinions, and my opinions are fucking right.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking. My opinion, but the Speedway stuff I'm very passionate about because I think Speedway should be, with the ticket sales that we have already in Speedway throughout Australia, that should be fucking double. That Sydney Speedway should be run by the government.
Yeah.
And they should have a promotions company working for them, putting them on with a budget supplied by the fucking government. And the grandstand should be 2-tiered, and that should be 25,000 people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's only 7,000.
Yeah, I know. And it should be fucking packed. It should have a grass area, a hill for families to sit up on with their fucking blankets and all that stuff. The Speedway's beautiful, but they just fucking missed the boat on a few things. And they missed an opportunity to take it to really fucking spend the money that needs to be spent to make a show, to get people off their asses out of their lounge rooms that have never been to a fucking Speedway race before and go and watch the fucking race.
Yeah.
Introduce them to that.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen the way it's being run at the moment.
I totally agree.
That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And I am passionate about it, and I don't want to offend anyone. I'm sure I fucking have. Michelle lectured before I got here and said, please don't piss too many people off.
It's all right. We've done a great show though, Tony, and I really appreciate you for coming on.
Oh, I hope so. I hope people like it.
Oh, me too, man. Me too. I can't be more thankful enough.
Yeah.
And for you supporting me with the podcast, even when we went to start at the start. So.
Yeah. No, it's a great idea. I love it. I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
You're doing a great job. You've had some great fucking guests on. It's really cool. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
You got to get fucking Barry Graham on here.
All right. That's good. I like when people suggest me guests. So who else should I get on?
Barry Graham.
Yep.
Fred's George Elliott.
Yep. I'm targeting George Elliott. Yep.
Max Dumsey.
Yep. Him as well. Got him on my hit list as well.
Gary Rush.
Gary Rush. That'd be great. Yep.
10 times Australian fucking champion.
Yep. Do you reckon you could put in a word for me with some of these boys?
I can put in a word for sure with George.
Oh, sweet. All right, that'll work.
So, yeah, they're those guys. I mean, Barry Graham, to me, is the greatest.
Yep.
He is the greatest sedan driver of this country and midget driver. He's done it all and knows everything, and he's still fit. And he drove a race car fucking last weekend. I don't know. He must be 70 fucking 5.
Yeah.
He went to Illabo Speedway and drove a fucking midget.
Yeah.
Very quietly.
Yeah.
No one fucking knew about it.
Yeah.
But I just saw photos the other day. A mate posting some photos of Barry Graham driving a midget at Illabo.
He's still got the bug like you do.
It's dirt in the veins.
Yeah.
You can't wash it out.
Yeah. Tony, I definitely want you again on some other time because I do want to see you look after your health, and I'm pretty sure your wife will be keeping a close eye on you, along with your family.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, thanks for coming on the podcast.
No worries, mate. It's been a pleasure.
No worries. All good. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.